Thank you for taking time to learn this Microsoft 365 Fundamental Certification course. This course is designed for anybody who would like to understand Microsoft SaaS-based solutions, which includes technologies like Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Microsoft Intune, Azure Information Protection, etc. This course is a great stepping stone for anybody who would like to understand what are the Microsoft 365 cloud-based services. This course is an ideal course for any sales professionals or any technical professionals who is wanting to understand Microsoft cloud services. Because it's a fundamentals course, you don't need to have any prior cloud knowledge to learn this particular course. Even if you don't want to sit for the examination, this is a very good course to go through to understand overall Microsoft cloud-based services, including Azure. This course is structured in a very nice format. It includes all the skills you need to learn for this particular examination. At the end of each module, I have placed a review question module so that you can do a quick knowledge check. Overall completion time of this course is only 3 hours. So the idea is to not rush it, take your own time, pause in between, and refer Microsoft documentation for further learning. I really hope the information available in this course is going to be really helpful for you. So go and enjoy the course. And all the very best for your examination. In this module, we're going to go through the course introduction and what are the lessons we are going to learn throughout this series. My name is Sushant Sutish, and I am going to be your instructor for this examination series. I work as a cloud solutions architect for a leading distributor. I am certified at an expert level in Microsoft 365 and Azure as well. So let's look at the exam objectives for MS-900. The audience for this course is who is just beginning to learn about cloud computing. You could be a technical professional or you could be a sales professional wanting to understand how Microsoft 365 provides these services. There is no prerequisite for this course, but students with an IT background will find these concepts easier to understand. This course maps directly to exam MS-900, which is Microsoft 365 fundamentals. These percentage indicate the relative weight of each area on the exam. The higher the percentage, the more questions you are likely to see in that area. Alright, so let's understand the learning path for this Microsoft 365 fundamentals. So in the first module, you're going to learn about the cloud concept. Within the cloud concepts, you will understand and learn about the principles of cloud computing. What is a public cloud, a private cloud, and hybrid cloud? Then you will touch base on what is different cloud models, what is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And then we will move on to Microsoft cloud services, like what is Azure, what is Microsoft 365 on a high level. And the third lesson on that module is migrating to cloud services. Then we will move on to the second module, which is core Microsoft 365 services and concepts. In that module, we will dive deep into Microsoft 365 core services. We will understand how to deploy Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. And finally, we will learn about what is unified endpoint management with the Microsoft 365. And we move into the third module. That's where we are going to learn about Microsoft 365 security, compliance, privacy, and trust. That's the module. We're going to learn about the organizational security fundamentals. What are the security features available within the Microsoft 365 world? Then you will learn about identity and access management. And finally, we will touch base on the device and information protection. And the final module is Microsoft 365 pricing and support. In that module, we will learn about Microsoft 365 subscription. What are the different licenses involved? How can you update your Microsoft 365 licenses? Where can you find the billing, etc. And the last lesson for that is the support in Microsoft 365. In case you find something not working, how can you reach out to Microsoft? If some of the service is not available, how can you find out what's the SLA for that service all about. You can find more about this exam at aka.ms/Microsoft 365 exams. So let's look at exam basics. When you sit for the exam, you are most likely to get questions between 40 to 60. Some questions worth more than 1 point. So there is no penalty for guessing. So if you don't know an answer, please make sure to select an appropriate one which you think which is right. You can mark some questions for review, so that gives you an ability to go back and read about it more before finalizing your exam. The total time allocated is 180 minutes. So just plan for 150 minutes for question answer and 30 minutes for some sort of a reviewing, commenting, reporting, etc. When you sit for a Microsoft exam, there are different types of questions you need to expect. Sometimes you'll be welcomed with a hot area. Sometimes you will have an active screen where you will have to drag and drop. And finally, there are some case studies as well. I don't think there is going to be a case study for MS-900 and AZ-900. But if you are planning to sit for other Microsoft exam, definitely watch out for case studies. All right, in the next module, we're going to talk about how can you schedule a Microsoft 365 fundamentals exam. If you are a beginner and you have never sat for a Microsoft exam, this is the best course where you can identify how you can go through the entire process of scheduling and sitting for an exam. Hey, welcome back everyone. Thank you for taking time to go through how to schedule a Microsoft 365 exam. But this course is related to all Microsoft exam. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how you can find an exam and then how you can schedule and book for an exam. So first of all, you have to go to the examination page. So you can go to the examination page by going into docs.microsoft.com and type in your examination number. That will take you directly to the examination or certification page. Once you're in that page, make sure you select the right exam, select your appropriate country, and click on Schedule with Pearson View. The next page, it will take you through your MCID profile. If you don't have a profile, this is the best time to set up one. You just need a Microsoft account, which is an Outlook or a Hotmail account, is all you need to create your first profile. Make sure to provide the details accurately. Let's suppose you are going to use a government ID for verification. Make sure your name, which is there on your identity, matches the profile what you're going to give over here. On the next page, this is where you have multiple options. Do you want to sit at home or work? Or do you want to sit at a local test center? So if you are in a situation where you are not able to find appropriate test center close by, or you don't get a time where you can allocate to go and sit for an exam at a test center, make sure to select the second option, which is sit at home or work. If you are trying to sit at home or work, you need to make sure that you have to run a pre-check to make sure that the device what you're going to use for the exam is adequate to support the examination requirement. These are the three things you need to make sure that it is working properly before you sit at home or work. First, you need to have a working microphone. You need to have a decent internet speed. If you're wondering what's the internet speed, you can see it on the next window where I have mentioned what's the download and upload speed you need for this exam. And finally, you need to have a working webcam as well. Once you get all these three check boxes, when you are running this pre-check, then you are good to go. If you happen to have any one of these not verified properly, that means that you either have to use a different device, make sure you run that check again, or you have to go to an examination center to sit for that exam. After you complete the pre-check, click on Next. This is where you have to read through the agreement and go to the next page. On this page, you will be able to find your testing details, the examination what you have chose, what's the cost of that examination, and the language option for that exam. If you are sitting at home or at a test center, this is the page where you are going to select the date and the time. So make sure to change the time zone to your local time zone before selecting the appropriate time. After you select the date and time, it takes you to the next page This is where you have to review and confirm you are good to proceed to order for that examination. You have few other options as well. You would be able to purchase ebooks and other practice tests on this page. If you don't want, you can skip that through. This is a very important page. If you are trying to sit for the first time, this is where you can understand what's the rescheduling policy and what's the cancellation policy. If you would like to reschedule the exam for whatever reasons, how soon you have to do. And if you are trying to cancel the examination, is there any cancellation fee or not? So please make sure to read through this review examination page in detail and then accept the policies. So what do you have to know before proceeding for the exam? Make sure you have at least one valid ID, and that valid ID doesn't have to be an expired ID as well. Make sure it is a government issued personal ID. And the name on the registration on that ID must match the name on the Microsoft examination registration page as well. And make sure you have a valid ID with a photograph and a signature, which is a mandatory thing. If you had booked to take that exam on an examination center, make sure you walk into the examination center at least 30 minutes prior so that you can complete the formalities and you're relaxed before sitting for their examination. But if you happen to have scheduled their exam to sit at home or work, make sure you log into the same page at least 15 minutes prior to their examination. And once you log into the dashboard, this is where you can click and see the previously scheduled online exam. Click on that link. That will take you through the examination process. So thank you so much for joining me today. You may be taking this training for validating your knowledge or trying to upgrade yourself or trying to land a new job. Certification is the best way to validate your skills. And I wish you a great learning experience and ongoing career success. As we discussed before, in this particular course, there are 4 modules. The first module, what we are going to go and see is what are the cloud concepts. Within this module, there are 3 lessons. The first one is principles of cloud computing. The second one is all about what are the different types of Microsoft cloud services available and what are the things you need to know for this particular course. And the third lesson for this module is migrating to cloud services. So the first lesson is principles of cloud computing. Cloud computing plays an increasingly important role in IT infrastructure. And as such, IT professionals need to be aware of fundamental cloud principles and techniques. This lesson introduces the cloud and describes considerations for implementing cloud-based infrastructure services. After this lesson, you will be able to describe what cloud computing is, describe evolving IT operations models, and you will be able to describe business drivers for the cloud. And finally, you will be able to explain how an organization can use these tools and services in Microsoft 365. So what is cloud computing? So the cloud computing is the delivery of computing services such as servers, storage, databases, networking, software analytics, intelligence, and more. All of these services over the internet that is being called as the cloud. Instead of maintaining the CPUs or the RAM or the storage in your data center, cloud computing enables you to rent these cloud-based computing services from a cloud service provider. It could be Microsoft, could be Google or AWS or anyone. In this module, we are going to talk about Microsoft Cloud Services. When you use the cloud, you shift the certain responsibility to the cloud service provider so that you can focus on other things such as your business or application and less on underlying technologies like how the server work, how the virtualization work, things like that. You leave that responsibility to the cloud service provider like Microsoft. And the cloud service provider maintains this underlying infrastructure, platform, and services for you. Let's understand some of the cloud computing characteristics. When you talk about cloud, the services which you are going to get in cloud is going to be on-demand self-service model. If you need a particular service, you log into your portal and you particularly access that service from a portal, or you subscribe to a particular module or a software. All of these can be accessed from anywhere because the cloud services is available everywhere. Most of the cloud services offer the elasticity capability, which means that these services which is available in the cloud can be easily scale up and scale down as well. And finally, all of these services are a measured service. What does that mean? Any service within Azure, when you consume it, it is going to be consumption-based model. You pay for what you use. So why does a cloud computing change the cost structure? It is mainly as a result of shift from capital expenditure to an operating expenditure. A capital expenditure are the cost associated with buying or upgrading physical hardware, such as server, networking equipment, and storage. It also includes real estate such as building or data center space. Typically, the physical resources are amortized over several years. Instead of deducting the full cost of the equipment in the first year, you deduct a portion of it each year. Operating expenditure or OPEX are the cost that an organization incurs while performing its normal business operations. This includes the electricity consumed, the cost of the employees to manage and support systems, office space, and internet connections. In a traditional on-premises data center, you will have to pay for the following items like storage, server cost, networking, backup, disaster recovery, your infrastructure, and your technical personnel cost. A server cost is nothing but your hardware components and the cost of the hardware support. Storage costs include all hardware component and the cost of the hardware support based on the application and level of fault tolerance. Network costs include all hardware component including cabling, switches, access points, and routers. This also includes wide area network and internet connections as well. Backup and archival cost is the cost to backup and copy or archive data to the cloud or data center. And your disaster recovery or BCDR, along with server fault tolerance and redundancy, you need to plan for how to recover from disaster and continue operating. And data center infrastructure cost, these costs include the electricity, floor space, cooling, the building maintenance, etc. And finally, the technical personnel is based on the technology you use. You will need technical expertise and workforce to install, deploy, and manage the systems at the data center. Let's look at the cloud computing cost. With cloud computing, many of the costs associated with an on-prem data center are shifted to the cloud service provider. Instead of thinking about physical hardware and data center cost, the cloud computing has different set of costs, which include leasing a cloud-based server. If you lease a server or use the cloud, the cost is usually based on pay-per-use model or pay-as-you-go model. When you use pay-per-use model, you have to actively manage your subscription. You must ensure that users do not misuse the cloud. Let's understand the types of cloud computing. A cloud deployment model defines where your data is stored and how your customers interacting with it. Cloud computing is flexible and enable you to choose how you want to deploy it. The cloud deployment model you choose depend on your budget, your security, and scalability and maintenance needs. Public cloud, this is the most common deployment model. In the public cloud model, you have no local hardware to manage or keep up to date. Everything runs on the cloud service provider's hardware. This means that the information technology infrastructure, which includes the hardware, server, software, and other infrastructure items, is located somewhere other than your data center, and it is managed by the third party. Some of the advantages of public cloud include lower cost, no maintenance cost, near unlimited scalability so that it is on demand resources are available to meet your business need, high availability, etc. This model offers a simulation of public cloud to users, but you remain entirely responsible for purchase and maintenance of the hardware and software services you provide. An example of a private cloud would be an organization that develops virtual machines that use proprietary peripheral devices. Some of the advantages of private cloud include more flexibility, improved security, and high scalability. You have to purchase the hardware for setup and maintenance, and private cloud require IT skills and expertise that can be hard to find as well. And finally, a hybrid cloud combines public and private cloud, allowing you to run your application in the most appropriate location. For example, you could host a website in the public cloud, but link it to a highly secure database hosted in your own private cloud. A hybrid cloud deployment provides failover capabilities between local resources that you manage and resources in other regions. Some of the advantages of hybrid cloud include control, flexibility, the compliance requirements, the cost effectiveness, and the ease of use. Some hybrid cloud concerns you will need to watch out for are sometimes it can be more expensive than selecting just one public or private deployment model. Let's look at the types of cloud services available. Cloud computing has three major categories. It's important for us to understand them because they are referenced in conversations, document, and trainings. So it's very important for you to understand these concepts thorough before moving forward. The first one is called IaaS or Infrastructure as a Service. The second type is called PaaS or Platform as a Service. And finally, SaaS or Software as a Service. IaaS or Infrastructure as a Service is the most flexible category of cloud services. It aims to provide you the complete control of the hardware that you run your application. However, instead of having to purchase the hardware such as server, switches, routers, storage area network, and firewall, with IaaS, you rent it. Virtual machines can be quickly deployed using this IaaS model. Second, Platform as a Service or PaaS. So PaaS provide an environment for buying, building, testing, deploying, and running software applications. Therefore, it would not be recommended cloud model for organizations looking to deploy a service such as Exchange Online. A common example of a PaaS is a custom web and mobile application that securely connect to an on-prem data center. And finally, SaaS is the software that is centrally hosted and managed for the end customer. Example of a software as a service include Microsoft 365, OneDrive for Business, Microsoft Outlook for Web, and Exchange Online. When you try to compare these services and try to pick the best one, always try to pick the best for the customer, which offers the right choices for the services you're trying to host in the cloud. If you go with Infrastructure as a Service, like we talked about, this is the most flexible cloud service available under public cloud. If you would like to just manage your application and you are looking for a application development platform, you use PaaS services. And finally, if you want to go with a pay-as-you-go model, you tend to look into a software as a service model as well. Let's understand the cloud computing considerations for privacy, compliance, and data protection. Privacy, for instance, when you depend on a cloud service provider, you are relying on them to keep your data safe. This could be from loss, theft, and misuse by third parties. So, what does this mean for your company considering adopting cloud computing services? You need to ensure your cloud service provider is helping safeguard the privacy by reading the cloud service provider's privacy notices, considering how the cloud service provider handles disaster recovery and business continuity, and finally, you need to understand how the hosting company handle the security breaches. Compliance, for example, many organizations have regulations and policies they must comply with. For example, companies working in health industry have to follow HIPAA. These policies can be quite complex based on the type of industry, geographical location, and organization and company-based policies. All these regulations pertain to cloud computing. If you store any of your data in the cloud, you must ensure that your cloud service provider follows all legal and regulatory requirements. So do your due diligence before signing any contract. Then after the contract is signed, take steps to ensure that compliance is maintained to protect your company and your customers. And finally, data protection. When running services and storing data in the cloud, you should follow the standard best practices for security, just as how you would do on an on-prem network. Always use strong password, ensure the passwords are changed regularly, perform regular auditing and monitoring. Let's learn some of the top benefits of cloud computing. Cloud computing is scalable. Cloud computing supports both vertical and horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling, also known as scale up, is the process of adding resources to increase the power of the existing server. Some examples of vertical scaling are adding a faster CPU, or adding additional CPU, or adding more memory. Horizontal scaling, also known as scale out, is the process of adding more servers that function together as one unit. For example, instead of having one server processing incoming requests, you have two. In the context of cloud computing, scale out is typically the more desirable scenario. As an organization's workload changes from a spike or a drop in demand, a cloud computing system can compensate by automatically adding or removing resources. For example, imagine your website is featured in a news article, which leads to a spike in traffic overnight. Because the cloud is elastic, it automatically allocates more computing resource to manage the incoming traffic. When the traffic begins to settle, the cloud notices it has too many resources allocated and begins to remove them, thereby saving your money. Another example of using cloud is agility. You would be able to give the resources, the tools, and the services which is required for your business in the cloud because it is always available for you. Disaster recovery is easy to configure. By default, cloud service providers have solutions in place to make sure your data and the services you are hosting is available in case of a disaster. Another cloud computing key benefit is cloud computing is cost effective because cloud computing provide a pay-as-you-go pricing model rather than paying for hardware upfront. Another key cloud computing benefit is cloud computing is always current. When you use the cloud, you're able to focus on what matters most, running your business that is most key to you. You don't have to divert resources for software patching, system configuration, upgrades, and IT management tasks. All of this is done automatically for you. And finally, cloud computing is reliable. When you're running a business, you want to be confident that data is always going to be there. Cloud computing providers offer data backup, disaster recovery, data replication services to make sure that your data is always safe. Why is empowering all the employees so important? As organizations today undergo digital transformation, technology has become a critical component of how people perform the vast majority of their work. This includes information workers and first-line workers. Information workers includes those in office roles such as business, sales, accounting, engineering, administration, management, and design. These are the people who gather information and use technology to gain visibility into your state of the business. First line workers include customer service, support, and repair technicians. These are the people who sit on the company's first line and are commonly the first point of contact for customers. These employees need the right productivity and collaboration tools to empower them to do their best work. Microsoft 365 improves enterprise collaboration, provides a modernized system that is continually updated, and increases productivity of your modern workforce no matter where your employees are and what devices they are using. That's the end of the lesson 1, which was principles of cloud computing. Now you would be able to describe what cloud computing is, describe the evolving IT operations model, and describe business drivers for your cloud as well. And finally, you will be able to successfully explain how an organization can use the tools and services within Microsoft 365 to elevate all employees, including first-line professional, information workers, into a modern workforce. This is lesson 2 of module 1 of Microsoft 365 fundamentals. In the previous lesson, you were introduced to some of the basic computing concept. You are now ready to learn about Microsoft-specific cloud offerings, Microsoft 365 in particular. In this lesson, you will be introduced to Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365. You will then compare Microsoft 365 with Office 365 to better understand when a business would adapt to one or the other. You will also review alternative third-party cloud offerings and see what value Microsoft 365 subscription deliver compared to other subscription. After this lesson, you should be able to describe what is Microsoft Azure, describe what is Microsoft 365. You will be able to list the primary products and services that include in Microsoft 365 subscription, and you would be able to successfully describe the benefits of Microsoft 365 service as well. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right back into lesson 2, which is Microsoft Cloud Services. Microsoft Azure is cloud computing platform used for building, developing, and managing applications and services through a global network of Microsoft managed data center. Access to both infrastructure and services on Azure enable you to quickly deliver new and innovative features to your users or customers. Projects that once took months can now often be completed in weeks or days. Azure delivers the power of the cloud. You just need to know how to harness it. In fact, it contains more than 100 services, including Azure Active Directory. Sometimes it can be known as Azure AD or AAD, Azure Information Protection, backup services, content delivery network, Key Vault, machine learning, media services, etc. So let me give you a quick high level on what are these services all about. Azure AD provides identity management and access control capabilities for your cloud applications. It can be synchronized with your on-prem domain controller, and you can also enable single sign-on to simplify your user access. Azure Information Protection protect confidential or sensitive information by using encryption,
identity, and authorization policies. Azure Backup, for example, allows you to backup to and restore from the cloud using familiar tools in Windows Server 2016, 2019, or in fact 2012 as well, or Microsoft System Center Data Protection Manager. Content Delivery Network allows you to deliver high bandwidth content to users around the world with low latency and high availability via a robust network of global data center. Key Vault offers an easy, cost-effective way to safeguard your keys and other secrets in the cloud using hardware security modules are called HSMs. Machine learning allows you to easily design, test, operationalize, and manage predictive analysis solutions in the cloud. Media Services, on the other hand, offers cloud-based media solutions from several existing technologies, including ingest, encoding, format, content protection, and both on-demand and live streaming capabilities. Mobile Services provides a scalable cloud backend for building Microsoft Store, Windows Phone, Apple iOS, Android, and HTML JavaScript applications. It can be used to store data in the cloud, authenticate with users, or send push notification to your application within minutes. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA. By having more than one method of authentication, you can help prevent unauthorized access to both on-prem and cloud applications. Stream Analytics provides an event-based processing engine that helps uncover insights from devices, sensors, cloud infrastructure, and existing data properties in real time. Virtual Machine enable you to deploy a Windows Server or Linux image in the cloud. And Virtual Network, for example, enable you to create virtual private network within Azure and then securely link this network with an on-prem network. These are some of the very few high-level services which is included in Microsoft Azure. So what is Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 is a pay-as-you-go SaaS offering that include Microsoft Office 365, Windows 10, and EMS, which is called Enterprise Mobility Plus Security. When you purchase Microsoft 365 Enterprise, you get these following products: Office 365, Windows 10, and EMS. Office 365 include your latest Office apps for your PC and your Mac, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook, and full suite of online services for email, file storage, and collaborations, meeting, and more. Windows 10, for example, which is a most productive and secure version of Windows with comprehensive deployment and device and app management capability. Enterprise Mobility Plus Security, or EMS, designed to help manage and protect users, devices, apps, and data in the mobile-first, cloud-first world, which include Microsoft Intune, Azure AD Premium, and Azure Rights Management Services. So let's look at the benefits of Microsoft 365 services. By connecting Office 365, Windows 10 Enterprise, and Enterprise Mobility and Security into a single subscription model, Microsoft 365 helps you drive digital transformation in 4 key areas. First is unlocks creativity. Microsoft 365 provides powerful capabilities that includes AI-powered tools to unleash your organization's creativity and fuel innovations. Built for teamwork, which represents Microsoft 365 enables teamwork and collaborations through intuitive tools that increase service scalability and allow you to work together in real time. Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork, where you can chat, hold meetings, and share files and app. Outlook is available for iOS and Android, brings emails, calendar, contacts, and documents securely together so you can share files and coordinate schedules and book meetings wherever you go. Integrated for simplicity means Microsoft 365 helps you reduce IT complexity, increase agility, and lower cost by making technology easier to adopt and manage. Finally, intelligent security is where Microsoft 365 delivers holistic security across users, devices, apps, and data. In addition to Microsoft, Amazon and Google also offers cloud services, respectively known as Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud. Similar to Azure, AWS and Google Cloud offer scalable computing on demand for cloud-based compute power. The differences are in pricing model and exactly what services are supported. Every business is different. There is no single cloud environment that is best choice for all. When determining which cloud service provider to use, each organization should review the following questions. What deployment and management tools and operating systems are we using? What productivity solutions are employees using? What's the scale of our on-prem infrastructure? How important is compliance and privacy to our cloud-based operations? The Microsoft Cloud offering can be an excellent solution for companies with any of these following requirements. So that's the end of lesson 2. We were able to understand what are the Microsoft Cloud services. Now you will be able to describe what's Microsoft Azure. You will be able to describe what's Microsoft 365, and you can list the primary products and services that are included in the Microsoft 365 subscription. I'm sure you will be able to describe the benefits of Microsoft 365 services as well. In the next lesson, we are going to go through migrating to cloud services. In this lesson, you will be able to understand the cloud-only model, the hybrid cloud model, which cloud model should business environment should choose, and the migration principles to Microsoft 365 services. Okay, let's look at the cloud-only model. The cloud-only model describes a situation where the services model you want to use could be SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS, is strictly run in the cloud. There isn't any connection to existing on-prem based systems. One of the advantages of using this cloud-only model is that an organization doesn't have to concern itself with the infrastructure that the services run on. All the backend functionality is invisible. For smaller companies such as startups or non-profit, they don't have the in-house resources and the capital outlay to purchase and maintain their own infrastructure. The cloud-only model can be a good choice for them. The hybrid cloud model, where what if your company is large and have invested heavily in on-prem hardware, and you have line of business applications, custom applications, and so on. Does all of this have to be abandoned to gain the benefit of that cloud computing offers? Certainly not. A hybrid cloud migration is a solution that fits most larger organizations because it allows you to keep critical resources on premises. Many enterprises embrace this model because it connects on-prem system to the cloud, effectively making the new cloud services an extension of the company's on-prem infrastructure. A common hybrid scenario involves Microsoft Exchange. A hybrid deployment provides a seamless look and feel of a single Exchange organization between an on-prem Exchange organization and an Exchange online in Microsoft 365. When companies consider cloud solution, they usually focus on 3 categories: cost, security, reliability, and compliance, and functionality. However, these 3 categories are not equally important for all companies. While smaller companies might favor lower cost and functionalities, Some larger, more complex environment might have security and compliance as their top priority. In terms of organizations' operational activities, timing can also be a key factor. So consider these following circumstances. Have you made any recent investment in hardware? Do you have any outdated hardware and systems? Are you going through any limited in-house IT resources? And are you having any limited budget for example? Another key thing to consider is migration versus coexistence. Once you have chosen the right deployment model for your organization, it is time to start planning your migration. The two different service models require different approaches. Migration for cloud-only deployment and coexistence for hybrid deployments. So let's look at migration for example. Migration is moving everything from your old system to new system with the intent of eventually removing the old system. In the context of cloud deployment, you move your data and application from local resources up into the cloud to infrastructure provided by your cloud service provider. Coexistence means two different systems, one on-prem and one in the cloud, connect and work together at the same time, or it coexists as a single service, such as an email. For example, in contrast to the example above, you have chosen to go with a hybrid deployment where your Microsoft 365 subscription extend your existing Microsoft Exchange server. So let's look at the principles of migration. In the previous topic, we reviewed how companies have the option to work solely in the cloud or to connect existing on-prem systems in the cloud to extend the value of your legacy infrastructure. These two deployment service models require different approaches to migration. It is common in both large and small organizations to still be running some older versions of server, computer operating systems, and Microsoft Office programs. To maximize the business value of Microsoft 365, let's begin, plan, and implement a strategy to migrate Microsoft 365 integrated suite. Some of the considerations you need to take care before migration is you need to verify, do you have a requirement to install the Office client installed on your computer, or do you have that installed? How many Office servers installed on your servers? Accomplishing all these migrations over time brings your organization closer to the modern workplace, a secure and integrated environment that unlocks teamwork and creativity in your organization through Microsoft 365. So we have come to the end of lesson 3. With that, we have completed the module 1, which is cloud services. So we have completed the first module. Within that module, we have gone through 3 different lessons to understand the overall cloud concepts. In this video, I'm going to test your knowledge based on what we have learned on last 3 videos. So the lessons we have gone through are the principles of cloud computing. That's where we learned about what are the types of cloud computing available, what is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, and what are the 3 different types of cloud models available, what is infrastructure as a service or IaaS. We learned about what is platform as a service or PaaS. And finally, we talked about software as a service or SaaS, which is a primary example of Microsoft 365 or Office 365 suite. Then we touched based on Microsoft Cloud Services. We've gone through few modules talking about what is Microsoft Azure, and we understood few of the Microsoft 365 cloud services as well. And finally, just before this module, we finished the lesson 3, which is migrating to cloud services. We talked about the various tools and services you can use and why is cloud only model is sometimes different compared to a hybrid model. What is coexistence all about? Things like that. These topics are very important and you need to understand these concepts in detail to answer these questions. So let's review these questions. All right. The first question is, Your company is running Microsoft Exchange Server 2007 and your employees use Office 2007. You need to upgrade your systems, but you want to minimize your capex impact. Which of the following is the best solution? So the key point we need to consider over here is you need to minimize your expenditure. So by purchasing Exchange Server, you are going to pay upfront. So that is, we are eliminating this option. So I don't think that's an answer. The second again is the purchase Exchange Server. That again require you need to have a capex investment. So the only option over here is subscribe to Microsoft 365, which is not a capex model, which is an operational expenditure model. So the right answer is C. Let's look at question number 2. You want a cloud subscription model that is the least expensive way to access services that are strictly hosted by a cloud service provider. So the keyword is strictly hosted by a cloud service provider. So which cloud model describes this? Is it public cloud? Absolutely. So public cloud is the one which offers a cloud hosted model, which is strictly hosted by a cloud service provider. What are the other options? Private cloud, which is not right because again, this is managed by you or other third party. Hybrid cloud, again, requires some part of a public cloud, but again, it requires you to maintain some on-prem as well. So that is not an answer. Cumulus cloud, I don't even know I'm pronouncing this right. I don't even know what this word means. So I'm going to choose no. So the right answer over here is public cloud. All right. So let's look at question number 3. Which of the following best describes the benefits of cloud computing? So we are going to look at the benefit of cloud computing. That's the key word here. So for that, we have to basically read out each statement and eliminate based on which one doesn't sound right or which one doesn't fit well with the benefit of cloud. Right. So the first statement is cloud computing is cost effective, elastic, and on-prem. So the cost effective is right, elastic is right, but the last statement is wrong. So I'm eliminating this answer. This is not right. The second statement is a cloud computing is scalable, inelastic, but always current. Again, scalable is correct. Always current is correct. Inelastic is wrong. So that way I'm eliminating this answer as well. This is not correct. Cloud is elastic. So the third statement is cloud computing is scalable, elastic, and reliable. So it ticks all 3 boxes. So it is cloud computing is scalable. You can scale up and down, which is elastic, and cloud computing is reliable because the cloud service provider takes care of the high availability and disaster recovery and things like that for you. So this is going to be the most likely answer. Let's look at the last option as well. Cloud computing is cost effective but unreliable. So cost effective is right, but unreliable is wrong. So this is wrong choice. So the right answer is option C, which is cloud computing is scalable, elastic, and reliable. Let's look at question number 4. You want to leverage the cloud to host virtual machines, which is VMs. Which type of cloud service is this? All right. So the key word over here is virtual machine. So if you want to host VMs, we know that we talked about it in the second module, which gives you infrastructure as a service. This is where you get to control the which operating system you can install, and you get to choose which application you can install on top of your OS, etc. So the right answer, even before I'm going through the option, is the first one, which is IaaS or infrastructure as a service. Definitely not PaaS, because PaaS you cannot install a VM, and in SaaS also you will not get a VM. So the right answer is A. Let's look at question number 5. So here, so in question number 5, which type of cloud service provide an environment for buying, building, testing, and deploying and running software applications? So the key over here is building, testing, deploying, and running software. Never it mentioned about maintaining a server, patching an operating system, getting a control to your operating system, etc. So this is definitely a platform as a service. So the right answer is platform. Infrastructure is not, because it doesn't need, uh, this customer doesn't need a server to manage and maintain. Software as a service doesn't offer building, testing, deployment, and running software application. So the right option or the answer available is platform as a service. Question number 6. Which of the following regulations apply to cloud computing? All right, so the key word over here is regulations. And in exams, you need to watch out for these statements. Like sometimes you would have to select multiple answers to complete the whole scenario. So make sure you read out the whole question and select all the appropriate answer. The options are Endangered Species Act. I don't think this is anything to do with cloud, so I'm eliminating this. This is some Animal Protection Act. B, HIPAA. Yes, definitely HIPAA is a regulation for cloud computing. Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Yes, that is part of a cloud regulation. Gramm-Leach-Bailey Act, GLBA, is again a part of a cloud computing regulation. Cloud Compliance Act, I never heard of it. I don't think that's even a regulation for cloud computing. So the right options are B, C, and D. Question number 7. Which of the following are components that are included with Microsoft 365? Again, we are trying to find the components which is included with Microsoft 365. Again, we need to find 3 answers. So we know that what are the components involved in Microsoft 365, right? Microsoft 365 comes with Office 365 Suite, depending on what licensing SKU you purchase. If it is Enterprise, it comes with Office 365 Enterprise, Windows 10 Enterprise, and Enterprise Mobility plus Security. So I'm going to choose, the first one. It comes with Office 365 Enterprise. It doesn't come with Office 2016. It doesn't come with Office 10 Pro. Yes, it comes with Windows 10 Enterprise. And yes, it comes with Enterprise Mobility Suite. So the answers are A, D, and E. All right. So you have successfully completed the module 1 and you have gone through the question answer as well. Congratulations for taking time and initiative to complete the Microsoft 365 Fundamentals Module 1. So we have 4 lessons in this second module. The first lesson, what we are going to go and see today, is Microsoft 365 Core Services. This is where we are going to talk about Windows 10 Enterprise, Enterprise Mobilities plus Security, and Office 365 components. And the second lesson, it's all about deploying Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. And then we will talk about unified endpoint management in Microsoft 365. That's all about Microsoft Intune and how you can manage these devices. And the final lesson on this module is all about teamwork in Microsoft 365. What are the collaboration tools and services available within the Microsoft 365 umbrella, which you can use for the teamwork? Microsoft 365 provides a number of core services. After this lesson, you will be able to identify the important features of Windows 10 Enterprise. You would be able to describe Microsoft Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Microsoft Teams. You would be able to identify additional services in Microsoft 365, describe what is Microsoft Intune, and you would be able to describe Microsoft Office 365 Pro Plus as well. And finally, you would be able to compare on-prem services with Microsoft 365 cloud services as well. So without wasting any more time, let's dive deep into it. Windows 10 Enterprise is one of the central pillar of your Microsoft 365 subscription. Windows 10 meets the need of large and mid-sized organizations by providing IT professionals with intelligent security, simplified updates, flexible management, and enhanced productivity tools. Let's look at the key features which comes with Windows 10 Enterprise. Then there is direct access for your VPN solution, Windows to Go Creator, which you can take your Windows in a USB, App Locker, which let you block a certain application or set of application within your organization or your operating system. Branch Cache lets you enable peer-to-peer caching network within your Windows 10 environment. Start screen control with your group policies, which will let you access the user access management. Credential guard and device guard, which let you secure your Windows 10 from any sort of external or internal vulnerabilities. AppV let you virtualize your application, and UEV let you virtualize your user experience and roaming profiles, etc. Exchange Online is a messaging and collaboration platform for your email, calendar, contact information, and task. You can access all this with your Microsoft Outlook or your Outlook web application or your Outlook mobile app, which is my favorite email client. Exchange Online works for most mobile devices, including your Android, iOS, and Windows 10 devices. Some features of Exchange Online include Mailbox and Online Archival. Let's look into some of the features of Exchange Online. Mailbox and Online Archives. Individual users have their own mailboxes that they can use to store mail messages. In addition to the main mailbox, some Office 365 plans include an online archival that provide additional storage. Calendaring let each users have a calendar that can be used to track your upcoming events. Users can use this calendar when booking meetings, to verify availability of someone else within your organization, etc. You would be able to view and edit attachments online as well. When users receive attachments, they can view and edit them online in Microsoft Outlook on the web. They do not require a locally installed version of Office. Shared mailboxes and resources. For example, you can use shared mailboxes for groups of users that need to share information in a central mailbox. You can configure resources for meeting rooms and equipment to facilitate bookings as well. Public folders. Earlier versions of Microsoft Exchange Server relied on public folder for collaboration. This feature is still available in Exchange Online if required. Message policy and compliance. There are several message policies and compliance features in Microsoft Exchange Online. These include retention policies, message encryption, e-discovery, data loss prevention, and journaling. Please make sure to tune into a next video series which I'm planning, which is called MS-100, which I'm going to go through in detail about these policies. Anti-spam and anti-malware. All Exchange Online subscriptions include Exchange Online Protection, which provides configurable anti-spam and anti-malware scanning. The next one is configurable mail flow. To support specialized mail flow scenarios, you can create and send and receive connections with varying settings. For example, you can create connections that require additional security settings with a business partner. Mobile and multi-platform access, which means that users can access mailboxes and calendars from Outlook on either Windows or Mac clients by using Messaging Application Program Interface or MAPI or HTTPS, or using Exchange Web Services. With hybrid deployment, you can integrate Microsoft 365 or more specifically, your Exchange Online with an on-prem Exchange server organization by implementing a hybrid deployment. And migration tools. Exchange Online includes tools to migrate from other on-prem Exchange servers to your Exchange Online. There is also a tool to migrate from Internet Message Access Protocol, or called as IMAP, messaging services to Exchange Online as well. Let's look at SharePoint Online. SharePoint Online is a cloud evolution of Microsoft SharePoint Server. It's a cloud service that enables you to store, organize, and add third-party applications access information from almost any device. And SharePoint Online allows sharing with external people by default, all by using a web browser. It helps you create team or communication-focused site for efficient collaboration and communication. Internal users with an appropriate Microsoft 365 or SharePoint Online license can use SharePoint Online. They can share files or folders with outside people or inside your organization as well. Sharing outside the organization can be controlled by site administrators. With SharePoint Online, you can use certain features like you can build and create pages and document libraries for your organization. You can add web parts to customize your pages. You can create search and discover sites and find files and people and news within your organization. You can co-author document with other users. You can catch up on news on the go with your SharePoint mobile app as well. So there are heaps of features which comes with SharePoint Online. And Microsoft Teams, my favorite collaboration tool, provide a central hub for collaboration within your organization. Microsoft Teams allow you to implement a chat-based workspace that enables members of your organization to have a conversation and create work plans. Microsoft Teams is also available as a mobile app, which lets you stay up to date in the office and on the go. With Microsoft Teams, you can communicate through chat, meetings, and calls. You can host audio and video calls or web conferences. Chat with anyone inside or outside of your organization. Teams also enables company employees and users from outside the company to collaborate on a project in a real time by using a whiteboard. Teams and Teams devices work better together for intelligent meeting and calling experience. Let's find out what is Microsoft Intune. Intune is a cloud service that helps you manage computer, laptops, tablets, and other mobile devices. This includes iOS, Android, and Mac operating systems as well. It uses Azure Active Directory as the directory store for identity, and it can integrate with your local management infrastructure such as System Center Configuration Manager or Endpoint Manager. Intune is especially useful for devices that are beyond the management scope of your group policy, such as mobile phone, devices that are not ADDS joined, or Windows 10 devices that are joined to Azure AD. Intune can prevent users from copying company data from a managed applications installed on an unmanaged devices as well. By using Intune, you can let your organization's employees use the personal devices to access organizational data, commonly known as BYOD, or bring your own device. And there are some additional services in Microsoft 365. There are some additional services in Microsoft 365 as well. These optional components include Yammer, Microsoft Project Online, Project Pro for Office 365, Visio, etc. Yammer, for example, is an enterprise social networking tool that can be used to efficiently resolve support issues or gather feedback on a project and documents. Project Online is a cloud version of Microsoft Project Server that enables organizations to get started, prioritize project portfolio investments, and deliver projects with intended business value. Project Pro for Office 365 provides desktop project management capabilities for small teams and organizations. Office Visio Pro for Office 365 is a subscription version of Microsoft Visio Professional, the diagramming and flowchart application. Microsoft Dynamics 365 is a cloud-based platform that combines customer relationship manager and enterprise resource planning, functionalities that deliver applications for managing business functions, sales, marketing, finance, and customer service. So let's understand what is Office 365 Pro Plus. Office 365 Pro Plus provides the Microsoft Productivity Suite of applications such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook for both Windows and Mac devices. Office 365 Pro Plus is a full version of Office and it's installed and runs on a user's local device. Office Pro Plus is not a web-based version of Office. The Office application that comes with Office 365 Pro Plus can be used with your on-premises or online versions of Exchange, SharePoint, or SharePoint for Business. Office 365 Pro Plus can be installed directly from the internet or can be deployed from a location on an organization's local network. There is no Windows installer package that users can download and install for Office 365 Pro Plus. Once installed, users don't have to be connected to the internet all the time to use the Office 365 Pro Plus. But users must connect at least once every 30 days to confirm that they still have the right to use Office 365 Pro Plus license. So how do you get the updates? Office 365 Pro Plus get updated on regular basis with new features, security updates, and quality updates. New and improved features are released on either a monthly or a semi-annual basis. An organization can choose which frequency works best for their users through the use of update channels. So how do you compare Office Pro Plus to an Office Professional Plus 2019? Office 365 Pro Plus is very similar to Office Professional Plus 2019, which is a version of Office that is available to organizations through volume licensing instead of going through a Microsoft 365 plan. But there are significant differences between two versions. I'm going to highlight you a few of these features, which is only available under Office 365 Pro Plus. Office Pro Plus continues to get new and improved features on a regular basis, but the features included in the Office Professional 2019 remain the same. The second one is users can install Office 365 Pro Plus on multiple devices with a single license, but Office Professional Plus can only be installed on one device with a single device. The third feature is there is a web-based portal where administrators can have users install Office 365 Pro Plus by themselves, which is not available in Office Professional Plus 2019. And the fourth feature is Office 365 Pro Plus is activated by connecting to the internet, and it requires regular internet connectivity to remain activated, wherein Office Professional Plus is activated by volume activation method, such as a key management service or KMS. So the user doesn't need internet connectivity to remain activated. All right. So let's have a look at how to compare Microsoft 365 core services with the on-premises equivalents. So first, I'm going to compare Exchange Online with Exchange On-Prem server. So Exchange Online offers you unlimited storage, high availability, you get backup, you get to get automatic integration with your other Office 365 features, you get regular new features, you don't need access to Exchange Online database or servers, and you have Exchange Web Services as well. If you would like to compare SharePoint Online with an on-prem SharePoint server, feature differences between SharePoint Online and on-prem SharePoint servers include anti-malware protection is not included in SharePoint server. Claims-based authentication is only provided with SharePoint server. And similarly, encryption at rest is not available in SharePoint server. So there are a lot of pros looking into an online server rather than an on-prem server. Accessibility for Microsoft is very important. There are no limit to what people can achieve when technology reflects the diversity of everyone. Microsoft products and services are designed for people of all abilities. So Microsoft mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Let's look at the accessibility options available with Vision. You need a larger screen or a brighter screen, a narrator to read text. Find out about accessibility tools that features for people who are blind, colorblind, or have low vision. Here are some of the Microsoft 365 features that can assist vision. First one is color filters, then there is tell me option, and there is Microsoft Soundscape. So color filter, which will boost contrast or get rid of color entirely. Whether you have color blindness, light sensitivity, or visual preference. With color filters, you can customize your screen's color palette. Tell me, quickly access commands in several Office 365 applications without navigating the command button. You can use Tell Me to assist with formatting, discover the difficult to find capabilities, and even get scoped help in Office 365 using everyday language. Microsoft Soundscape use innovative audio-based technology to enable people with blindness or low vision to build a richer awareness of your surroundings, thus becoming more confident navigating new environments. Some of the hearing accessibility features include Microsoft Translator, auto-generate captions, and mono audio. Microsoft Translator displays auto-generated subtitles on presentations in any of 60 plus supported languages. Auto-generate captions in Microsoft Stream share videos securely across your organization in an accessible format with Microsoft Stream. If you have partial hearing loss or deafness in one ear, Windows 10 lets you hear more from your computer. Just turn on mono audio. On your left or right speakers will play the same sound. Neurodiversity offers few tools like Focus Assist and Reading View. So Focus Assist is nothing but blocks, alerts, and notifications so you can get things done without any distractions. Use Reading View to clear distracting content from web pages so you can stay focused on what you want to read. For learning, you can use Immersive Reader Editor in Word and text suggestions. For mobility, we have Dictate in Office 365, keyboard shortcut, and eye control. Dictate in Office 365 lets you convert your speech to text with Dictate in Office 365 applications such as Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook. If physical disabilities make it difficult to use a keyboard, Windows 10 offers built-in support for eye control, an effective way to use your PC with just your eyes. Mental health, it offers multiple options like Focus Assist, To Do, minimize your visual distractions, etc. So again, Focus Assist blocks, alerts, and notifications so you can get things done without any distraction. To-dos use OneNote and Outlook work together to help you stay organized. So that concludes lesson 1 of module 2, which is Microsoft 365 core services. Thank you so much for watching this video. And by now, you will be able to identify the important features of Windows 10 Enterprise. You should be able to describe Microsoft Exchange Online, SharePoint Online. We've gone through what is Microsoft Teams, and we were able to identify some additional services in Microsoft 365 as well. We have completed lesson 1 of module 2, and now we are in lesson 2, which is deploying Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. After this lesson, you should be able to know how to plan a deployment of Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus, the deployment options for Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus, and the update model of Windows and Office 365 Pro Plus. So the two most critical part of planning an enterprise deployment of Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus are assessing your environment's network and making sure that existing hardware and applications will work with the new software. So how do you assess your hardware and application compatibility? Almost all applications written in past 10 years will run on Windows 10. And almost all add-ins and Visual Basic applications, macros that are based on previous version of Office will continue to work on latest versions of Office as well. So the two most critical part of planning an enterprise deployment of Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus are assessing your existing environment and network and making sure that your existing hardware and application will work with the new software. To support that, Microsoft offers several tools which can help you make sure that your application and hardware are compatible, which include Windows Analytics Upgrade Readiness. Then there is a Readiness Toolkit for Office add-in and VBA. And then there is a Desktop App Azure. The Desktop App Azure is a fast track center benefit for Windows 10, which provide the Desktop App Azure. So for assessing and optimizing your network, Microsoft have built-in method for automatically limiting bandwidth, including reducing the size of update download with express update delivery and binary delta compression. How you deploy Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus depends on your business requirement and your environment, including how much administrative control you want over the deployment. Windows 10 include the following new deployment tools and methods: Windows Autopilot, in-place upgrade, dynamic provisioning, and subscription activation. These are very important to understand, so I will take a minute or so to explain each in detail. Windows Autopilot customize the out-of-box experience or OOB to deploy apps and settings that are pre-configured for your organization. In-place upgrade a device's operating system without reinstalling. So you can migrate apps, users, data, and settings from one version of Windows to another, like going from a Windows 8.1 to Windows 10. Dynamic provisioning create a provisioning package to quickly configure one or more devices, even those without network connectivity. Subscription activation use a subscription to switch from one edition of Windows 10 to another. This is by far an easiest switch you can make to switch a Windows 10 Pro to a Windows 10 Enterprise Edition. To deploy Office 365 Pro Plus, you first choose what deployment tool to use. There are few tools available: Configuration Manager, Office Deployment Tool, Microsoft Intune, or you can directly install from Office 365 Pro Plus as well. So I'll take a minute or two to explain each in detail. For enterprise that already use a CCM to deploy, manage applications software, Microsoft recommend to use Office Deployment as well. Office Deployment Tool for organizations that don't have a CCM but still want to manage their deployment. So you can use this Office Deployment Tool, which provides control over installation, update, and settings. Microsoft Intune is for organizations that want to deploy and manage Office from the cloud. So Intune provides a cloud-based service that manages mobile devices and PCs along with the application of these devices like Office 365 Pro Plus. And finally, you have an option to install directly from Office 365 portal. The simplest approach is to have your licensed users self-install Office on their client devices directly from Office 365 dashboard. This method requires the least amount of administrative setup but gives you less control over the deployment. Let's look at Windows as a service model. In the Windows as a service model, Microsoft no longer provides major operating system revisions. Windows updates are an ongoing maintenance task rather than a periodic operating system upgrade project. The Windows operating system receives revisions and update more frequently, and they are applied with less disruption and effort. These updates fall into two categories: feature update and quality update. So the feature update, these add new functionality and are released twice a year. These updates can be readily deployed using existing management tools because the updates are more frequent. They are smaller, so users take less time to adapt to changes. Consequently, the workload and cost impact on organization is reduced. Quality updates. These are security updates and fixes, usually issued once a month on the second Tuesday of each month, which is called Patch Tuesday. And then you can control how and when these updates are applied with servicing channels and deployment rings. So the servicing channels include Windows Insider, semi-annual channel, and deployment rings include preview, broad, and critical. So to give you an update on what is servicing channel is where Windows as a service offer 3 servicing channels. Each of these channels receive new feature update at different frequencies. With servicing channels, Windows as a service offer 3 servicing channels: Windows Insider, semi-annual channel, and long-term servicing channel. Each of these channels receive new feature update at a different frequency. These servicing channels provide a method for controlling the frequency at which organizations can deploy Windows 10 features. Deployment rings are similar to groups in your organization might have used to manage updates to earlier versions of Windows. So how do you update your Office 365 Pro Plus? So after you deploy Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus, Microsoft strongly recommend that you keep them up to date as new features and other updates are released. So the types of updates for Office 365 Pro Plus include monthly channel, semi-annual channel, and semi-annual channel targeted. Monthly channel, which receive feature updates approximately every month. Semi-annual channel targeted, which receives feature update in March and September. This is typically used for pilot users and application compatibility testers. Semi-annual channel, which receive feature update every 6 months in Jan and July. So to deploy Office 365 Pro Plus to users in your organization, you start by assigning license to your users. Then each user can install Office 365 Pro Plus on up to 5 computers. Each installation is activated and kept activated automatically by cloud-based services associated with Office 365. So the key message is you need internet connectivity to activate license, and a user can install up to 5 computers. You need to understand what is a reduced functionality mode as well. In reduced functionality mode, Office 365 Pro Plus remains installed on the computer, but users can only view and print their documents. All features for editing or creating new documents are disabled. That concludes the end of lesson 2. We learned about how to deploy Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus and what are the different options available for updating and deploying Office and Windows 10 as well. In this lesson, we're going to talk about unified endpoint management in Microsoft 365. After this lesson, you should be able to define what unified endpoint management is in the context of Microsoft 365 toolset, identify challenges involved in managing and securing devices, and you would be able to describe the concepts and benefits of Microsoft Cloud Connected Management. So what is unified endpoint management? Unified endpoint management is a concept that describes a platform that includes device and apps management. Microsoft Intune and SCCM, which is part of EMS, which is in your Microsoft 365 subscription, helps simplify modern workplace management. You can use them to create this productive Microsoft 365 environment where users can work on their devices and apps they choose while still protecting your organization's data. In today's workplace, IT departments support different devices configured in different ways. Your organization might have Android and iOS mobile phones, Windows 10 and Mac OS PCs, and custom devices your users bring to work. Not only do you have to support all these devices, you have to be sure they meet organizational standards for security and device health. You also have to be able to configure them to support organizational apps like VPN, email settings, and updates. These different devices present the following management challenges: mobile devices that connect to your unsecure network, mobile devices that are intermittently connect to your organization network, backing up the data, loss of stolen devices, compromised devices that connect to your internal network, and user owned mobile devices as well. Is the device owned by a user or an organization? These are some of the questions you need to answer. Should you let your user owned devices access sensitive applications and data, or allow access to its owner agrees to have the devices managed by IT? What actions can your organizations take to protect data stored on devices if the device is lost or if the user leaves your company? One of the tools you can use to manage all of these devices in your organization is using EMS, an intelligent mobility management and security platform. EMS is a suite of products included in your Microsoft 365 Enterprise subscription. EMS is provided as part of Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 plans. It includes products like Azure AD Premium, Microsoft Intune, AIP or Azure Information Protection, ATA, which is Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics, CAS, which is Cloud App Security, and Configuration Manager, which is your endpoint manager. So Azure AD Premium is the central identity store used for your application in EMS and Microsoft 365. Azure AD Premium P1 and P2 includes things like self-service password reset, write back from Active Directory to your on-prem, write back from Azure AD to your on-prem Active Directory, Microsoft Azure multi-factor authentication, conditional access based on group, conditional access based on sign-in or user risk, etc. These are some of the plans available under P1 and P2. Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based enterprise mobility management or EMM. This is a service that enables user productivity while keeping your corporate data protected. Use Intune to manage apps and mobile devices by enrolling these devices. When you enroll, you can use profiles to manage different settings and features on these devices. Azure Information Protection encrypts documents and enforces policies on how they can be used. Documents data is more protected because only authorized users can access this content. Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics can detect suspicious activity and malicious attack, and it can adapt to the changing nature of cybersecurity threats. This provides focus and clarity around what is important with a simple attack timeline. This reduces false positives as well. Cloud App Security uses data collected from your firewalls and your proxy servers to identify cloud application usage. This can help identify unauthorized applications that might be a threat to your data. Additionally, it can identify unusual usage patterns that can indicate a problem. Configuration Manager or a CCM is an on-premises product used to manage Windows, macOS, PCs, and servers. Configuration Manager has a rich set of capabilities that allow you to highly customize following areas: application management, operating system deployment, software update management, and device compliance. And this is part of both E3 and E5 as well. So how does the cloud connected device management looks like? If you have an existing on-prem configuration manager, you can connect it with your cloud-based Microsoft Intune management system using co-management function. This cloud connected scenario lets you manage Windows 10 devices using Config Manager and Microsoft Intune concurrently. It brings Intune functionality into the device management ecosystem and provide immediate values, things like conditional access, remote actions, client health, autopilot for your Windows 10, hybrid Azure Active Directory, things like that. That concludes the lesson 3, we learned about the unified management in Microsoft 365. I'm sure now you will be able to define what unified endpoint management is in the context of Microsoft 365. So this is the final lesson for module 2. We are going to talk about teamwork within Microsoft 365. And the module what we are going through is Microsoft 365 core services. So far we have seen the core Microsoft services, how to deploy Windows 10 and Office 365. We have learned unified endpoint management in Microsoft 365, which is Microsoft Intune and other services. And finally, in this lesson, we are going to talk about teamwork in Microsoft 365. After this lesson, you should be able to define the teamwork scenarios that are enabled in Microsoft 365. You will be able to name products in Microsoft 365 that are part of teamwork toolset. You would be able to describe how Microsoft 365 can help you run meetings and projects more efficiently. And finally, you will be able to explain how Microsoft 365 analytics tools can improve efficiency. Let's look at teamwork tools in Microsoft 365. No two teams look exactly alike. The nature of teamwork continues to evolve as teams of various shapes and sizes come together for short-term and long-term projects. Microsoft 365 gives your teams the right tools at the right time for the right task. All right, let's look at these tools in detail. With the familiar Outlook email-based experience, you can stay in touch with your colleagues and share calendar, files, tasks to make sure important deliverables get attention. Microsoft Teams is the digital hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365. It brings together Teams conversation and content so your users can stay up to date on critical projects. Yammer is a community conversation tool designed to help encourage open dialogue, idea generation, and connections across the company. On top of it, you can store your content in the cloud with SharePoint and OneDrive for business. This lets you access your files on any device and share them with others inside or outside your organization. And Office apps is what it is going to make you possible connecting and using these apps to co-author as well, which works great with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, etc. And finally, Microsoft Graph, which provides a seamless connection between people and relevant content. So which tools are best for your organization's teamwork needs? It generally depends on your team members' role in the project and how you intend to communicate and collaborate with them. Team members can typically be categorized as either part of the inner loop or outer loop for people that you collaborate with. So the inner loop is made up of people you actively work on regular basis. Use Microsoft Teams to let the inner loop members stay tightly connected on project updates and related content, and files no longer what they are located. The inner loop is made up of people you actively work with on regular basis. Use Microsoft Teams to let the inner loop members stay tightly connected on project updates and related content and files no matter where they are located. With outer loop is made up of people you may not work with regularly on a project or in the team, but who have a vested interest, like a project stakeholder or common goal. So use Yammer to openly share information, find expertise, and share ideas across your organization. If you prefer working in email, Outlook is an ideal way to start conversation. When it comes to managing Teams content and files, SharePoint is a tool that can bring together content from Microsoft Teams, Yammer, Outlook to keep track of critical project information no matter where the conversation starts. Users work in many ways, sometimes along departmental lines and other times with team members from other departments. Often, they also work with people from outside of their organization, such as suppliers and customers. When users are working together on a document in real time, it is called co-authoring. Microsoft 365 provide co-authoring capabilities across all core Microsoft Office apps. You can co-author on an Office document when it is stored in OneDrive for Business or SharePoint. Microsoft Teams brings author presence information into the co-authoring experience and adds a chat-based workspace for people who are actively working in the dock. Use teamwork tools to run meetings and projects. It is estimated that the average knowledge worker spends nearly one third of the week in meetings. With Microsoft 365, you can easily schedule calls and online meetings, quickly start meeting through an ad hoc call or instant message, create a shared workspace for all your team conversation, files, meetings, and apps. You would be able to automate process and workflows across your organizations. You can save time with self-service tools for schedule and task management. Yammer is designed to help you encourage open dialogue, idea generation, and connections across your company. With Yammer, you can modernize organization-wide communication with two-way executive forums or live company-wide settings or giving everyone a voice. Another example is using Microsoft Stream, which enables everyone in your organization to securely create, discover, and share videos. And finally, Microsoft Search provides a rich, familiar, and consistent search experience across the web and the app used in your organization. So, how do you create a communication site? With SharePoint, you can create communication sites. These sites are designed to publish curated news, important announcements, stories, and resources to employees, regardless of their device or location. Easy to use templates available on SharePoint homepage in Microsoft 365 help you quickly create a professional design. And finally, workplace analytics. Microsoft 365 include two analytic tools that gather data and use AI to provide insights into the working habits of individuals and organizations. These two tools are called My Analytics and Workplace Analytics. So let's look at My Analytics. My Analytics lets you see how you spend your time at work and then suggests ways to work smarter, from cutting unproductive meeting time to getting better work-life balance, etc. My Analytics does this by looking at data about emails, meetings, and Teams calls and chats, as well as how you use your Office 365. My Analytics is included in Microsoft 365 E5 subscription and support Outlook add-ins as well. While My Analytics focus on insight at the individual level, Workplace Analytics focuses on organization. Use Workplace Analytics to identify collaboration patterns that impact productivity, workforce effectiveness, and employee engagement. It helps you understand how your organization spends its time and how groups work together. When you understand how your organization works, you can look for efficiencies and best practices. That concludes end of lesson 4, and we completed the end of module 2 as well. What we're going to go and do now is we're going to go do a review of this module, and I have a few questions to test your knowledge as well. In this module, we have gone through 4 lessons. First, we identified what are the Microsoft 365 core services. We learned about how to deploy Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. And we learned about how to update Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus as well. And we learned something again, like how different is Office 365 Pro Plus compared to a Office Professional 2019. Then we dived deep into unified endpoint management. We learned a bit of Microsoft Intune and how Microsoft Intune is enabling you to manage your devices, wherein Azure AD can use to manage your users. Azure Information Protection can be used to manage your documents or information protection. So that's what we learned. And final lesson, we talked about the teamwork within Microsoft. Not only Microsoft Teams, we learned about what is My Analytics, we learned about what is Workplace Analytics, we learned about Yammer. So I'm sure those information provided on the previous module was useful. Let's dive deep into what are the questions from the last module. All right, let's look at the first question. Which of the following are feature pillars of Windows 10 Enterprise? I think in the first lesson of the last module, we've gone through a lot of features which comes with Windows 10 Enterprise Edition. So let's find out which one is that. Is it limited hardware support? Absolutely not. It supports pretty much all hardware. Is it complex updates? Definitely not. Windows 10 has Windows as a service. That's a new way of updating. We learned about different update channels, what is long-term servicing branch, another way of getting Windows feature updates, etc. Is it intelligent security? Absolutely yes. There are a lot of intelligent security you can get with Windows 10 Enterprise, from your advanced threat analytics to your credential guard to your device guard, etc. Is it rigid management? Absolutely not, because you can use Microsoft 365 Intune or Configuration Manager to seamlessly manage your Windows 10. So the right answer is C, which is intelligent security. Let's look at question number 2. You want the ability to communicate with colleagues by using instant messaging. Which Microsoft 365 app enabled this? Is it Microsoft Exchange Online? So the key word in this question is you want the ability to communicate with your colleagues using instant messaging. So you are looking for a platform which can be used for instant messaging as well. So it's definitely not Exchange Online. It's an email platform. Is it Microsoft Intune? No, because Intune is used to manage your devices and your applications. Is it SharePoint? No, SharePoint is a collaboration platform where you keep your documents and creating sites for your teams, etc. Is it Teams? Absolutely right. Teams is a platform where you can use for instant messaging, audio, video conferences, project work, etc. So the right answer is D, which is Microsoft Teams. All right. So the next question. Which of the following is a cloud-based platform that combines customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning? Right. So the key word on this question is you're looking for a cloud-based platform which includes customer relationship management. So you're looking for a cloud-based CRM tool. Is it Power BI? Definitely not. Power BI is a data visualization platform. Is it Dynamics? Yes, absolutely. So Microsoft Dynamics or Dynamics 365 is a cloud-based customer relationship management platform. Let's look at other options. Is it Yammer? Definitely not. It's an enterprise-wide or wide collaboration tool or like a site. OneDrive for Business is a private storage for individual users. So that is definitely not an answer. So the right answer is option B, which is Microsoft Dynamics. Fourth question is, which Microsoft 365 service or app enable you to manage users' devices? So the key word over here is, so you're looking for a Microsoft service or an app which enable you to manage user devices. So management capability is what you're looking at in the tool. So is it Exchange Online? Definitely not. Exchange Online is an online version of your email calendar solution. Teams is a hub of teamwork where you can use for chatting, instant messaging, your videos, audio conference, etc. Is it Microsoft Intune? Absolutely right. You can use Intune to manage your users, devices, and apps as well. So Intune is the right answer. Let's look at the fourth option. Is it Microsoft Azure Active Directory? Definitely not. Active Directory or Azure AD is an identity platform solution and a security solution where you would be able to manage your identity. So the right answer is option C, which is Microsoft Intune. So you are the IT manager for your organization. What is the simplest approach to have your users install Office on their client devices? Interesting question. So you're looking for a simplest approach to have your users install Office. So we learned about multiple tools you can use to manage your Office deployment. So we are looking at a simplest tool which you can use to, right. So let's find out. Use the Office deployment tool. Yes, of course, you can use. Is it simple enough? No, because you still have to download, click to run, modify the XML files, deploy it locally, and download the files. So it is not simplest. Definitely you can do, but it's not the simplest. Install directly from Office 365 portal? Absolutely right. That's the simplest way you can install Office apps. Because once you have the right license, if your administrator enable you to log into the portal, then you as a user can log into the Office 365 portal and download and install these Office apps up to 5 devices. So that's another thing, something special about these Office apps. So B is the right answer. What about configuration manager? Yes, you can use config manager, but it's again not simple. You have to create an application, deploy to a local distribution point, then deploy to a collection of users, etc. It's possible, not the easiest. Finally, Intune. Again, it's possible, not the simplest, because again, you have to upload the package, create the script, and deploy to your devices. So the right answer is option B, which is the easiest or the simplest way of installing the Office apps. So which Windows as a service update channel does not receive feature update? So you remember we talked about Windows as an update, and we talked about long-term servicing branch, semi-annual channel, Windows Insider programs, etc. So we are trying to find out which does not. So the keyword here is does not receive the feature update. So the feature updates are the main update which Microsoft release twice every year, 2 times, which include the major feature update. So we are going to find out which one is not a feature update. So is it the Windows Insider program? Definitely not. Windows Insider program, you can download the feature update earlier than anyone else receives it. So I'm a Windows Insider. Please make sure you go and sign up for a Windows Insider. It's a kick-ass program from Microsoft where you get to try out these insider preview features well before Microsoft releases to a broader audience. Is it semi-annual channel? Definitely not. Semi-annual channel and the semi-annual targeted is targeted to deploy this feature update. Definitely not. Final option is long-term servicing channel. Absolutely right. So long-term servicing channel is for specialized devices where you can purchase and install Windows 10, and that can run on that device for longer than any other devices without even you having to update to a next feature. So the right answer is D, which is long-term servicing channel. And the final question is, which of the following lets you see how you spend your time at work and then suggest ways to work smarter, like cutting unproductive meeting time? This is exactly we have seen in the previous video. The last topic was this. I talked about 2 products. The one is workplace analytics and the second one is my analytics. So the workplace analytics will give you the organizational wide intelligence using data and AI. My analytics will give you an individual based data which can help you work smarter, give you better work-life balance, like cutting unproductive meetings and focus on the time when you're at work, etc. So the right solution is my analytics. So I'm straight away going into that option because I just finished taking you through that content. All right. So that's the end of review and question answer of module 2. So we successfully completed module 2. We have completed 2 modules so far. Thank you so much for watching. In this module, we're going to learn security, compliance, privacy, and trust in Microsoft 365. Let's look at the agenda for this particular module. In this lesson, we are going to learn about organizational security fundamentals. Then on the next one, we're going to talk about security features which is available within Microsoft 365. And we are going to go dive deep into identity and access management. We'll talk in detail about what is Azure Active Directory and how you can use Azure AD for your identity and access management. Then we nicely segue into devices and data protection in Microsoft 365. That's where we are going to talk about Microsoft Intune and other tools and security services available within Microsoft 365 to secure both your devices and your data. Finally, we will finish off this module with compliance in Microsoft 365. After this lesson, you should be able to describe the key pillars of security and identify the common security threats as well. So the goal of any security design is to provide for defense in depth. Defense in depth is a security concept in which you protect your data by using several layers of security. If a malicious hacker or attacker compromises one layer of defense, other layer continue to offer protection. Let's look at identity and access management. Identity is used to identify a user so they can be authorized to access resources within your IT infrastructure. Typically, we identify users through the use of user accounts. So these user accounts include the local account, domain account, Azure AD account, and Microsoft accounts, or sometimes other accounts as well. So a local account is an account reside on a local Windows 10 device only. Then there is domain account and Azure AD account. So the domain account is nothing but a user account resides in your ADDS, which is Azure AD, or Active Directory Domain Services. Then there is Azure AD account. You can use Azure AD to store your user accounts that your users can utilize to access hosted services based in the cloud, such as Microsoft Office 365, etc. Then there is Microsoft accounts. Users can use Microsoft account regardless of their location or organization of which they are the member of. A Microsoft account includes an email address and a password that your users can use to sign into different services like Microsoft OneDrive, Xbox Live, Outlook.com, formerly known as Hotmail, or Windows Phone, which I don't know if anybody uses at this point of time. Second concept we need to be familiar of is called information protection. When considering how best to secure your organizational data, it's important to consider two situations: data at rest and data in transit. Data at rest is data stored somewhere, for example, on a file server, or a hard drive, or a USB flash drive, or in a mailbox. Each of these situations presents a different challenge for security persons to solve. The second situation is data in transit. Anytime the data moves between a user device and the server that hosts their data, it's at risk. The third concept we have to be aware of is called threat protection. Threats to your organizational data and infrastructure can originate from both devices and the network. When users connect their devices to your IT infrastructure, they potentially introduce security risk. For example, firewall settings, antivirus, anti-malware protection, software fixes and updates, security settings, and poor physical security as well. So firewall, if a device lacks a properly configured firewall, then every time it's connected to a network, it's at risk. Antivirus, anti-malware protection, Without proper anti-malware or antivirus software installed and up to date, a device is at risk for being infected with malware. How about software fixes and updates? When a weakness or a flaw is discovered in an operating system or an application, the software vendor will provide an update or a patch. If the user doesn't update their device to include the latest update, then the device is at risk as well. How about lax security settings? Most users secure their phone with a PIN, but not all. And often, the PIN is too short and fairly easy to guess. If a device contains sensitive company data, then the data is at risk on that device. How about poor physical security? Many users are fairly relaxed about where they leave their phones and tablet devices, even their company laptops. Leaving devices in vulnerable places such as internet cafes, airports, or any public places, especially if those devices lack proper security safeguards, can easily lead to data leakage. And finally, we need to understand security management concepts. Security management brings the first three concepts together. You must be able to manage your security settings to address the key pillars of security. Security management can be proactive and reactive. In the case of proactive management, you might choose to implement a certain type of authentication in your organization to meet perceived threats. You might also choose a plan to use certain encryption technologies to help to protect data in transit and in rest. In terms of reactive management, you will most likely want to access to tools that can help identify security threats or infections that are currently taking place. Monitoring tools can be very helpful in these situations, and this can actually help you identify corrective actions that you can take to remedy a situation as well. And some of the other common security threats, which include unauthorized users accessing information from your server, or somebody taking control of your lost or stolen device and taking your company data, and sometimes a data leakage arising from a stolen or lost laptop, etc. So you can use products like Azure Information Protection, a BitLocker for encryption, which is part of Microsoft 365 to protect from these attacks. From a network security threat point of view, there are common attacks include eavesdropping, DDoS attack, or port scanning. So Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection, or ATA, is the best solution which you can use to safeguard yourself from these network security related threats as well. So that's the end of the first lesson of the third module. We completed the organizational security fundamentals. I'm sure you will be able to answer questions related to key security pillars, and you are able to identify the most common security threats as well. In this lesson, we are going to talk about security features which is available within Microsoft 365. All right. So in this lesson, after going through this lesson, you should be able to describe how Microsoft 365 helps protect identity and access. You would be able to describe how Microsoft 365 help you against threats and protect your information, and describe how Microsoft 365 classifies information to protect it from data loss. And finally, you will be able to describe the Microsoft 365 Security Center. Identity and access management in Microsoft 365 is the first pillar. Microsoft 365 helps you identify who is accessing your resources and control exactly what they can access. First is secure authentication. So you need to make sure that you have strong password that can be difficult to remember. Users often reuse password on multiple or different sites. Don't encourage them to do that. So some of the services which you can use within Microsoft 365 is multi-factor authentication. So with many authentication systems are based on a simple password exchange, which is not very secure approach. By using multiple factors of authentication, you can achieve a significant security improvement. Then conditional access, definitely. Conditional access provide a granular access to keep your corporate data secure while letting your users do their best work from any device, from any location. And conditional access spans Microsoft 365 service, including Microsoft Intune, then Office 365, and Windows 10 as well. And conditional access elevates each access request on number of different criteria. Then using policies you define, decide if it is should be allowed or not. So this helps ensure that only approved users and devices can access critical company resources. The next one is threat protection in Microsoft 365. Microsoft Threat Protection helps protect users' identities, devices, user data, apps, and your infrastructure. So the solutions which include within that is Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. Then there is Azure Active Directory Threat Protection, which is ATP. Azure Security Center is part of it. Then there is Microsoft Cloud App Security, etc. So I can give a quick idea about what this is all about. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection is more than a monitoring and reporting tool. You can configure risk-based policies that automatically respond to issues. These policies, along with other conditional access control provided by Azure Active Directory and EMS, can either automatically block or start remediation actions like resetting password or enforcing multi-factor authentication, etc. Then there is Azure Advanced Threat Protection, or ATP. ATP is a cloud-based security solution that identifies, detects, and helps you investigate advanced threats, compromised identities, and malicious insider actions directed at your organization. Through these security reports and user profile analytics, Azure ATP helps reduce your attack surface, making it harder to compromise user credentials and advance an attack. Azure Security Center provides unified security management and advanced threat protection across the hybrid cloud workloads. And Azure Cloud App Security gives you visibility into your cloud apps and services, provide analytics to identify and combat cyber threats, and enable you to control how your data travels as well. And how about Exchange Online Protection? Exchange Online Protection is a cloud-based email filtering service that helps protect against spam and malware and include features to safeguard against messaging policy violations. We talked about Intune multiple times. Again, Intune is a mobile device management component of EMS, integrates closely with other EMS components like Azure AD for identity and access control and Azure Information Protection for data protection. Let's look at information protection in Microsoft 365. In a mobile first, cloud first world, important business data lives and travels everywhere. To balance productivity and security effectively, you need strategy for protecting and managing your sensitive information. You need to know where your sensitive information is located, and you need to be able to control it as it travels within and outside your organization. You also need to have a way to classify, label, and apply appropriate protection to this information. And you need to start thinking about information protection strategy about these four key activities: discover, classify, protect, and monitor. This is how exactly you can track and protect the whereabouts of your documents. So what you're seeing over here is the integrated capabilities protect and manage data throughout its life cycle. Integrated capabilities work together over the course of the data lifecycle to keep information protected and managed. So first what happens is it discovers and classifies the sensitive information, and then classify the content with sensitive label, then protect the information and prevent the data loss as well. So how do you discover and classify sensitive information? In order to protect your organization's information, you need to be able to discover sensitive information, no matter where it is created or lives. That means having sensitive data discovery capabilities across your on-prem file servers or data center, on individual devices, as well as across cloud services and SaaS applications. Once you discover sensitive information, next option is to classify the content with sensitivity labels. So after you have identified the sensitive data you want to protect, you can apply sensitivity labels to help your organization to monitor the transmission and usage of documents that are potentially sensitive. And finally, you would be able to protect information and prevent data loss. So the sensitivity data may initially be created on an individual device, but it's frequently shared or stored in other locations like cloud storage or on-prem file storage or emails, etc. There are several complementary protection measures you can take to protect this sensitive information wherever it lives or travels. So Azure Information Protection is the Microsoft 365 service which you can use along with Cloud App Security to track the whereabouts of the document or the files or the apps which is sensitive for your organization. The next one is Microsoft 365 Security Center. M365 Security Center helps you to track and manage security across your identities, data, devices, apps, and infrastructure. Security admins can manage devices, get alerts if there are suspicious activity, and get an all-up view of your security posture in your organization as well. Microsoft 365 Security Center provide the following features: real-time reporting to help you keep on top of issues with users, devices, apps, and infrastructure, and all-up Microsoft Secure Score insights and recommendation to help you improve your security posture and take advantage of Microsoft 365 security features, and the ability to configure devices and data policies to help you better manage your organization as well. And finally, Microsoft Secure Score. Managing your security posture to protect against a continually evolving threat landscape offers many challenges, from having too many security solutions with various places to configure and lots of control, and lack of knowledge around which control are most effective. Being unable to benchmark yourself against other organizations, it can be very difficult for security team to find the right balance of security and productivity. With Microsoft Secure Score in Microsoft 365 Security Center, you can have that increased visibility with control over your organization's security posture. And Microsoft 365 Secure Score gives you robust visualizations, integrations with Microsoft products, comparison of your score with other companies, filtering by category, and much more. And that concludes lesson 2. I'm sure now you will be able to describe how Microsoft 365 helps protect identity and access, and how Microsoft 365 help against threat and protect your information, and how Microsoft 365 classifies information to protect it from data loss. In this module, we're going to deeply talk about identity and access management. After this lesson, you should be able to describe the basic features of Azure AD and explain Azure AD identity protection as well. Identity is the primary supporting pillar in any security system. You must be able to identify users and devices before you can determine the level of access or privilege that they have. You can establish identity through user and device accounts. If you subscribe to any Microsoft online business services, for example, Office 365 or Intune, you automatically get Azure AD with access to all of the free features. The Azure AD Premium tier provide additional functionality over the free and basic editions. However, premium editions might require additional cost depending upon the Microsoft Cloud subscription level. Azure AD comes in two versions. One is P1 and another one is P2. The following features which I'm going to explain now is part of Azure AD P1. The first one is self-service group management. This simplifies the administration of groups where users are given the rights to create and manage groups themselves. Secondly, advanced security reports and alerts. You can monitor and protect access to your cloud applications by viewing detailed logs that show advanced anomalies and inconsistent access pattern reports. Then comes the multi factor authentication. A full MFA works with on prem applications, Azure Office 365, Dynamics 365, and third party Azure AD Gallery applications as well. It does not work with non browser or off the shelf apps such as Microsoft Outlook. Microsoft Identity Manager or MIM licensing. MIM integrates with Azure AD Premium to provide hybrid identity solutions. MIM can span multiple on prem authentication stores such as ADDS, LDAP, Oracle, and other applications with Azure AD. Password reset with write-back is a self-service password reset follows the Azure AD on-prem password policy as well. Conditional access based on devices, group, and location. This feature lets you configure conditional access for critical resources based on multiple criteria. And finally, Azure AD Connection Health. You can use this tool to gain operational insight into Azure AD. It works with alerts, performance counters, usage pattern, and configuration settings to present the collated information in Azure AD Connect Health portal. And finally, in addition to these Azure AD P1 features, Azure AD P2 license provide a number of advanced functionalities. The first one is Azure AD Identity Protection, which is P2 license. This feature provides enhanced functionalities for monitoring and protecting user accounts. You can define user risk policies and sign-in policies. In addition, you can review users' behavior and flag users for risk as well. Azure AD Privileged Identity Management. This functionality lets you configure additional security level for privileged users such as administrators. With Privileged Identity Management, you define permanent or temporary administrators. You also define a policy workflow that activates whenever someone wants to use administrative privileges to perform some task. In addition to protecting resources such as devices, documents, and other critical type of data, it is necessary to protect user identities as well. Many of today's successful cyber attacks are based on identity theft. This makes identity protection, particularly user accounts that have privileges, highly important for organizations of all sizes. Each computer user today has typically at least 5 identity accounts from accessing different local or internet-based resources. For example, a typical user might have personal account with Microsoft, Google, or Apple for email, social accounts such as Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, business accounts such as LinkedIn, etc. Azure AD Identity Protection is a Microsoft implementation of identity protection technology for users of Office 365 and other Microsoft cloud services. Azure AD Protection provides you with the ability to proactively recognize potential security risks and identify vulnerabilities in your organization. It can automatically apply responses and actions when suspicious activity on one or more identities is detected. It can properly investigate incident and take actions and resolve them. And finally, it can protect emails and documents by automatically applying classification and labels as well. And that concludes lesson 3, which is identity, access, and management. I'm sure now you will be able to describe the basic features of Azure AD and explain what is Azure AD Identity Protection as well. Now we are going to see device and information protection under module 3. After this lesson, you should be able to explain the need of device management, describe how Intune provide device protection, identify Microsoft 365 services that protect data in your organization, and describe information rights management or IRM. Why business environments need to protect devices and data. As mentioned earlier in the module, the key pillar of computer security systems are identity and access management, information protection, threat protection, and security management. MDM or mobile device management is an industry standard for managing mobile devices, including smartphones, tablets, and laptops. You implement MDM by using MDM Authority and MDM clients. Microsoft offers two MDM Authority solutions, Microsoft Intune and MDM for Office 365. The MDM functionality include app distribution, data management, device configuration, etc. And MDM Authority, such as Intune, provide following capabilities like device enrollment. MDM can manage only supported devices that are enrolled to MDM. A device can include MDM client functionalities such as Windows 10 or for other operating systems such as Android or iOS. You must install a company portal app to manage it. Device configuration. You can use profiles and policies to configure devices, control your access, and set device settings to comply with company policy. You can also deploy settings to devices to access companies' resources such as Wi Fi and VPN profiles, and control access to companies' resources by using conditional access. Application management with Microsoft Intune, which is included within your Microsoft 365 subscription, you can deploy apps to any enrolled devices anywhere in the world. By using MDM and mobile application management, which is called MAM, you can deploy the application, manage their settings, and separate data that is created by personal and business application. With selective data deletion, if a device is stolen or lost, or if the user is no longer a company employee, you can wipe company data that is stored on that device. You can wipe all device data or perform a selective wipe, which leaves personal users' data on that device intact. So, how does Microsoft 365 device management provide device protection? Intune is a cloud service that helps to manage computers, laptops, tablets, and other mobile devices, including iOS, Android, and Mac operating system. Intune offers both MDM and MAM. MAM is nothing but mobile application management, which uses Azure AD as the directory to store for identity. By using Intune, you can allow staff to more safely access organizational data by using personal devices, which is commonly known as bring your own device. Then you would be able to manage corporate owned phones and limited use devices through integration with device provider registration such as Apple DEP program, etc., or Samsung Knox mobile security platform. Control access to Office 365 from unmanaged devices such as public kiosk or mobile devices. And Intune can help to ensure that your devices and apps that connect to corporate data are compliant with security policies. So, how does Microsoft 365 help protect data in your organization? An important benefit of using MDM technologies such as Intune for managing device is that you can allow access to email and document only from devices that are managed by MDM. For example, a company policy can specify that user password must be complex, that local data on the device is encrypted, and the latest updates are installed. This would mean that a user can access the Microsoft Exchange Online mailbox from any device that meets a company policy, but they cannot read their email from a secondary device that does not have the latest update installed. If all other prerequisites are met, the user can access their mailbox from the secondary device after the latest updates are installed on their device as well. So Intune can let you enforce that policy along with the conditional access. And what is Information Rights Management Services or IRM? In modern enterprises, the increase in collaboration between both internal and external users and the proliferation of employee owned devices has increased the risk of accidental or malicious data leakage. Traditionally, enterprises have controlled access to data by assigning credentials to users. However, organizations also need to protect data after it leaves the company as well. So, to meet the need, you can implement IRM systems. What is Windows Information Protection? So, Windows Information Protection, or WIP, is a set of technologies that protect your organization from accidental or malicious data leaks without significant changes to your enterprise environment or apps. It also provides the protection to both enterprise owned devices and BYOD devices. It does so without interfering with your employees' regular workflows. So, Windows Information Protection helps you overcome several common challenges by providing separation between personal and corporate data. So users do not need to choose which app to use for which data. Additional protection for line of business applications. So you can add protection without modifying the app. Ability to perform selective wipe. So you can remove corporate data from a device without removing a personal data. Audit reporting. Windows Information Protection gives you the ability to track and report on policy issues and actions performed in response to policy violations. And management system integrations. WIP integrates with Intune, SCCM, and other MDM systems as well. So, what are the benefits you can get by implementing Windows Information Protection? You can encrypt data on a device. You would be able to control which application can access corporate data. You can support apps that allow users to work on both personal and corporate data, prevent use of personal apps and services. Finally, you will be able to remove corporate data from lost or stolen devices or devices owned by ex-employees as well. Azure Information is a set of cloud based technologies that provide classification, labeling, and data protection. To protect data, Azure Information Protection uses Microsoft Azure Rights Management Services, or used to be known as Azure RMS technology. Previously, Azure RMS was available as a standalone product known as Azure RMS. It is now integrated with Azure Information Protection Solution. So now you can use it together with classification, labeling, and tracking. That concludes the lesson 4, which was devices and information protection. Now I'm sure you will be able to explain the need of device management, and I'm sure you can describe how Intune provide device protection and identify Microsoft services that protect data in your organization. In this lesson, we're going to talk about compliance in Microsoft 365. After this lesson, you should be able to describe the 3 pillars of compliance, explain the benefits of Compliance Manager tool, and describe the Microsoft Compliance Center as well. So let's look at the common compliance need in today's business environment. As the proliferation of data increases and our reliance on storing and accessing that data online grows, so has the need of data management. Over the years, government and other agencies have become interested in how we use and share data, particularly personal data like financial and health data. To help protect individuals, government have introduced regulations about data storage, handling, and use. Some of these regulations include HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Probability and Accountability Act, imposes strict privacy regulations on protected health information. Then there is FISMA, or Federal Information Security Modernization Act, dictates how United States federal agencies protect information as well. And the most common now these days is GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation, which addresses the protection of data and how and when it can be transferred. Service Trust Portal and the Compliance Manager. So let's look at some of the tools which Microsoft 365 provides to access your compliance risk and protect and govern information and respond to these regulatory requests or manage investigation. The Service Trust Portal or STP provides a variety of content, tools, and other resources about Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance practice. It also includes independent third party audit reports for Microsoft Online Services and information about how our online services can help your organization maintain and track compliance with standards, laws, and regulations such as ISO, SEO, NIST, GDPR, Office 365 auditing, etc. The Service Trust Portal include the following compliance tools. It includes the Compliance Manager, your dashboard to standard regulations and assessment. It includes trust documents, which include audit reports, data protection information about how Microsoft operate Azure, Dynamics 365, and Office 365, Azure Security and Compliance Blueprint as well. Regionally specific compliance information, often in the form of legal opinions, and describe Microsoft Cloud services in different countries like Australia, Poland, or in the UK, for example. And privacy information about the capabilities in Microsoft services that you can use to address specific GDPR requirement as well as GDPR documentation. You can learn more about by going into the Service Trust Portal, http://aka.ms/stp. And what is Compliance Manager? A Compliance Manager is a cross Microsoft solution that helps meet complex compliance obligations, including GDPR, ISO 27001, 27018, 853 NIST, HIPAA, etc. The Compliance Manager can be managed by assigned individuals and provides these three key capabilities. So, ongoing risk assessment, you would be able to view a summary of your compliance posture against the data protection regulatory requirement that are relevant to your organization in the context of using Microsoft Cloud services. Second, actionable insight. Understand the responsibility that you and Microsoft share in meeting compliance standard. For components that Microsoft manages, you can see the control implementation and testing details, test date and results. And finally, simplified compliance. With simplified process to achieve compliance, it provides built-in collaboration tools that you can use to assign tasks to your team. You can also generate audit-ready reports which links to the evidence they are collected. Let's look at data governance in Microsoft 365. Data governance is all about keeping your data around when you need it and getting rid of it when you don't. With data governance in Microsoft 365, you can manage the full content lifecycle from importing and storing data at the beginning to create policies that retain and then permanently delete content at the end. Microsoft 365 takes a unified approach to discovering, classifying, labeling your content across locations. With these retention labels, you will be able to enable people in your organization to apply a retention label manually. So you can do this to the content in Outlook on the web or Outlook 2010 and later, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Office 365 groups. You can apply retention labels to content automatically if it matches specific conditions such as when the content creates or when the content contains a specific type of sensitivity information, a specific keyword that match a query you create, etc. Apply a default retention label to the document library in SharePoint and Office 365 group site so that all documents in the library get the default retention label. Finally, you will be able to implement data record management across Office 365, including both emails and documents. You can use retention label to classify content as a record. When this happens, the label can't be changed or removed, and the content can't be edited or deleted as well. Let's look at encryption in Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 uses some of the strongest encryption protocols available. Data is encrypted by default at rest and in transit. For data at rest, data is encrypted at the physical disk with BitLocker in applications with service encryption. Data in transcription with TLS, which is transport layer security, as it moves across the network. For additional controls, you can encrypt your data in transit and more granularly at the content level as well with Office 365 message encryption and Azure information protection. Organizations are twice as likely to get breached through compromised credentials than through any other threat vector. So, what is customer logbox for Microsoft 365? Microsoft runs organization and data centers on the principle of zero standing admin access. When required, all access requests go through a privileged access workflow, allowing users just in time and just enough access for a specific task they need to perform. These requests require approvals and significant oversight. Another tool Microsoft offers to control access is Customer Logbox. Customer Logbox requires the tenant admin or the custom role like compliance manager to approve a request before access to your data center. A customer logbox requires the tenant admin to approve a request before accessing to your data center is granted to Microsoft engineers. The transparency control and security rigor provided through the customer logbox workflow is above and beyond what other major SaaS vendors offer today. Together, these controls enable you and the Microsoft engineers to enforce zero standing access by default for service provider access, which is a significant leap in keeping our data center and your data secure and compliant. So, how do you respond to the data discovery request? You can use advanced e-discovery to review and redact content prior to export to ensure that only the most relevant data is being shared and that any business confidential pieces of the data are redacted. You can work with data stored in Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, Skype for Business, Office 365 groups, and Microsoft Teams as well. The new Microsoft 365 Compliance Center is a specialized workplace for your compliance, privacy, and risk management professionals. You can use the Compliance Center to access your compliance risk through Compliance Manager, protect and govern your data with sensitivity and retention labels, respond to regulatory requests like data subject requests or DSR, and access other compliance and privacy solutions as well. The new experience helps you reduce compliance risk and protect your data estate more easily than effectively with these new insights. With that, we completed lesson 5 of this module, which was compliance in Microsoft 365. That concludes module 3 as well. So thank you so much for your patience, and I hope the information provided was useful. In this particular video, we're going to go through some module review and question answer on the previous module as well. In the previous module, we have started with organizational security fundamentals. So we learned about what are the security fundamentals we need to be aware of before implementing those. In the second lesson, we talked about the Microsoft 365 security features, which all tools which comes with Microsoft 365 can you use to tackle these security problems. In the third lesson, we identified what are the identity and access management solutions you can use. We dive deep into Azure Active Directory. And in the fourth lesson, we talked about device and data protection, which was mostly around Microsoft Intune and Azure Information Protection. And in the final lesson we just finished, we talked all around the compliance within Microsoft 365. What is Service Trust Portal, the Compliance Manager, etc. So let's go through some of the questions from all these 5 lessons. So the first question is, which of the following blocks or allow network traffic based on traffic properties, which is quite easy. So you need to look at a solution or find a solution which is going to block or allow network traffic. Is it DLP policies? No, because DLP policies used to control the information either to protect your data like emails or the documents, etc. Is it firewall? Absolutely yes. So the firewall is a technology you can use to block or allow network traffic. Is it MAC address? Definitely not. MAC address is a hardware ID of your local machine. Router is a device used to route the traffic from one location to another location. So the right answer is firewall. Let's look at the next question. Which of the following Microsoft tools requires the tenant admin to approve a request before access to your data center is granted to Microsoft engineers? So we just talked about it in the previous modules, very important topic. So this is very unique to Microsoft as well. So is it Service Trust Portal? No, Service Trust Portal is where you can go and get the privacy compliance data. Is it Microsoft Intune? Definitely not. Microsoft Intune is a solution you can use to manage your devices and applications. Is it customer logbox for Office 365? Absolutely yes. So when you turn on, when you go through the approval flow of the customer logbox for Office 365, you can define access to your data center for the Microsoft engineers. So the right answer is customer logbox. Definitely not compliance manager. Let's look at the third question. Which of the following is a compliance tool in Service Trust Portal? So you're looking at a compliance tool. That's the keyword. Is it auditing? That's not a tool available under Service Trust Portal. Is it security? Yep. Security is something what we want, but that's not again a tool which is available under STP. Is it global compliance, which is, yep, global compliance is available in the compliance manager. Is it trust document? Absolutely right. So the trust document is the compliance tool in the service portal. So the answer is D. The next question is, which of the following is a key capability of Compliance Manager in Microsoft 365? So you're looking at a key capability of Compliance Manager. Is it Workplace Analytics? No, Workplace Analytics give you organizational-wide information to make some key decisions like the well-being and how your employees are using time, etc. Is it Actionable Insight? Absolutely right. Actionable Insight is a key capability of Compliance Manager where you can take decision based on the recommendation given by the Compliance Manager. Is it My Analytics? Definitely not. My Analytics is an individual tools which can give you the data gathered by the AI and the usage pattern so that you can get a better work-life balance. Is it Streamline Compliance? Definitely not. So the right answer is Actionable Insights, which is option B. Question number 5. You notice suspicious activity during sign-in from several user accounts. It seems as if these users are signing in at unusual times from not normal location. What tool or feature in Microsoft 365 might alert you to such activity? So you're going to find a tool or a feature in Microsoft 365 which can give you a suspicious activity or an impossible travel uh, from a user location. So is it Microsoft MFA? No, because Microsoft MFA will give you a dual factor authentication to protect your identity. Is it Azure AD Privileged Identity Management? No, because Azure AD Privileged Identity Management give you an option to give an extra layer of security or approval before a user gains an administrative privilege. Is it Microsoft Identity Manager? MIM is an identity solution which you can use for other additional features. Definitely, that's not the answer. Is it Azure AD Identity Protection? Absolutely right, because Azure AD Identity Protection is the feature which can give you a lot of additional functionalities which can help you detect a user signing in from unusual location or impossible travel time or signing in at an unusual time, etc. You can find that behavioral data as well. So the right answer is option D. Let's look at question 6. You want the ability to evaluate a user's account to that of a temporary administrator. Which Microsoft 365 identity management feature could help with this? All right, so we just eliminated this answer from the previous question. So the keyword over here is you want the ability to elevate a user account. So a user account which was trying to gain something, and you as an administrators can give control or disable control of somebody's privileges. So which Microsoft 365 identity management feature can help you with this? Is it MFA? No, again, it's a dual factor authentication. Is it privileged identity? Absolutely right. So if you have Azure AD privileged identity enabled, this is a Microsoft Azure AD P2 feature. So you need to have a P2 plan to activate privileged identity. When you have that, you can elevate a user account for a temporary administrator access. Then you can audit it, you can remove it, things like that. It's a beautiful solution. You should check that out. Is it Microsoft Identity Manager? Again, that's not a right answer. It's a solution for identity. Is it Azure AD Identity Protection? No, Identity Protection gives you extra features for behavioral analytics, impossible travel time, suspicious location, etc. So the right answer is option B, which is Azure AD Privileged Identity Management. Question 7. In Microsoft Intune, what kind of policy enable you to ensure that devices are not rooted and are configured with complex password? So you're looking at a type of policy or a kind of policy within Microsoft Intune which can give you ability to block the rooted device and configure the complex password requirement. Is it conditional access? No. Conditional access is an Azure AD policy which can give you a lot of checks and checks in place before allowing a user to access a particular service. Is a device compliance policy. Absolutely right. So when you enable device compliance policy, you would be able to set policies such as a particular device is not able to access or non-compliant if it is jailbroken or rooted, or you can enforce a device or a user to have a complex password as well. So the right answer is B. Let's look at other options. Is it device enrollment policy? Definitely not. Enrollment policy will give you an ability to allow or not allow certain type of devices to be enrolled to your Microsoft Intune. Is it configuration policy? Device configuration policy will let you deploy policies like a VPN profile or a Wi-Fi profile, for example. That is what device configuration profile will do. So the right answer is option B, which is device compliance policy. Let's look at the question number 8. Which feature in Microsoft 365 enable you to receive and redact contact prior to export to ensure that only the most relevant data is being shared? Right. So the key word here is enable you to review and redact content prior to the export. So you're looking at a feature within Microsoft 365 which can do that. Is it customer key encryption? No. Is it advanced e-discovery? Absolutely yes. So advanced e-discovery, which will help you review and redact content prior to the export. Is it Azure information protection? Definitely not, because information protection will give you a data protection and ability to classify, label your document. Is it Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection? Definitely not. It can give you additional features like anti-spam, anti-malware, additional capability, security features, etc. So the right answer is Advanced e-discovery. So the option is B. So that concludes the question answer session for module 3. In the next video, we will talk about Microsoft 365 pricing and support. And the first lesson, what we are going to learn today is Microsoft 365 pricing and support. After this lesson, you should be able to differentiate between the different Microsoft 365 subscription options. You would be able to manage your Microsoft 365 subscription by yourself, add or remove a license from a user, and you will learn how to manage your Microsoft 365 billing as well. And finally, you would be able to explain the typical Microsoft 365 lifecycle phases. As you have learned in the previous modules, Microsoft 365 is a complete intelligent software as a service solution that includes Office 365, Windows 10, and Enterprise Mobility Plus Security, all bundled in a single subscription. Please note that the plans, the exact set of features, pricing, and licensing requirement can vary between different countries and regions. So what are the plans which is included in Microsoft 365? First is Microsoft 365 versus Microsoft 365 Enterprise. Microsoft 365 Enterprise provide enterprise class services to your organization that want a productivity solution that include a robust threat protection, security, compliance, and analytics features. There are two available plans for Microsoft 365 Enterprise. This will letting you further refine what's included in your implementation, E3 and E5. E5 includes all the same features as E3 plus the latest advanced threat protection, security, and collaboration as well. Then there is Microsoft 365 Business. Microsoft 365 Business is designed for small and medium-sized organizations like Microsoft 365 Enterprise. Microsoft 365 Business offers the full set of Office 365 productivity tools and includes security and device management features. It does not include some of the more advanced information protection, compliance, or analytics tools. Then there is Microsoft 365 Education. Microsoft 365 Education is available for educational organization. Academic licenses can be tailored to fit any institution's need, including productivity and security solutions for faculty, staff, and students. Then there is Microsoft 365 First Line Worker. Microsoft 365 F1 subscription plan connect your first line workers such as customer service representative, support and repair technicians, and service personnel through a purpose-built tool and resources that allow them to do their best work. While Microsoft 365 F1 has many of the same features and services of Microsoft 365 E3, including Yammer, SharePoint Online, Teams, and Staff Hub collaboration tools. So how do you manage your subscription in your Microsoft 365? You can simply manage your Microsoft 365 via your Microsoft 365 admin portal. Administrators can view, billing, and manage their subscription in their subscription window. As highlighted in the following figure, the More Actions menu in the subscription window is where administrators can add a partner of record, edit the subscription address, cancel your subscription, install softwares that is part of your Microsoft 365, etc. Just learn about how to manage licenses in Microsoft 365. When you buy a Microsoft 365 subscription, you specify the number of licenses that you need based on how many people you have in your organization. If you have more than one subscription, you can assign licenses to different people for each subscription. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center is where you create a user account and then assign license to them. You can also remove a license from one user and reassign it to a different person as well. After you assign license, your next question will be, how do I manage the billing in Microsoft 365? Billing in Microsoft 365 is also managed from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The options available and pricing associated with any account depend on your subscription and number of licensed user. Each service has a specified price that typically rated on a per user or per month basis. You can review and modify all billing aspects in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, including current number of purchase licenses, how many of those licenses that are allocated to users for each service, any current charges due on your account, payment method and frequency, monthly or annual, additional services or features you might opt in or add to your subscription, billing notification where you can provide a list of email accounts of those should receive automated billing notification and renewal reminders for your Microsoft 365 subscription. And that concludes the end of lesson 1, which is Microsoft 365 pricing and support. So let's look at the lesson 2, which is support in Microsoft 365. After this lesson, you should be able to list what support options are available within Microsoft 365. You would be able to discuss guarantees, SLAs, and capping of liability of cloud service provider, demonstrate how to create a service request and how to review any active service request in your subscription, demonstrate how to monitor your Microsoft 365 service health as well. So what are the support options in Microsoft 365? As a Microsoft 365 subscriber, you have a variety of support options, but the details depend on your specific situation. Which subscription do you have? Does it include a service package? Which service tool do you need support for? What kind of support do you need? Here are the different ways and channels to get support from Microsoft 365. First is Fast Track. So Fast Track can get direct access to Microsoft 365 planning material and dedicated Microsoft Fast Track project managers and engineers to help you deploy Microsoft 365. Office 365 Assistant. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center has an automated assistant bot. The Office 365 Assistant that designed to help you find answers to support questions. Access from the Need Help button. The bot offers a chat-based user interface. Then there is Premier Support. Microsoft Premier Support Services is well suited for large and global organizations with strategic and critical dependence on Microsoft product, including Microsoft 365 and Azure. Then there is Cloud Service Provider Tier 1 support. If you have purchased Microsoft subscription through a certified Tier 1 CSP, contact them directly for technical support. Your Tier 1 CSP is your first point of contact for all services related to issues. Tier 1 providers will escalate any issues they can't resolve directly to Microsoft to ensure that you get the help you needed. Then there is telephone support. Some Microsoft 365 components provide phone support as well. And then there is Microsoft 365 Tech Community and Support Forums. Microsoft offers official support forums where you can ask questions and get answers from both Microsoft and community members. Different technologies and services in Microsoft 365 have their own forums. Some of the most popular ones are Azure forums, Windows forums, Office forums, etc. Let's understand the Microsoft 365 service level agreements. Make sure you thoroughly review any service level agreement before you sign it. Ask yourself the following question. How does the CSP determine whether service levels are being achieved? Who's responsible for measurement? How can I obtain report? What expectations are there in the SLA? What exceptions are there in the SLA? So the service level agreement also applies to technical support response times as well. As example, for Office 365 business plans, which is available 24/7, the response time is 1 hour for critical responses. For high severity, it's business hours with no commitment. For enterprise with critical, the response time is 1 hour. And for enterprise plans with severity high, the response time is next day. So how do you raise a service request in Microsoft 365? So you can find help and figure out when to open a service request in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You can create requests through telephone support, online chat support, and email. Each customer case is identified by unique code that help you track it through the support process. You can create these requests from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. As shown in the following image, toggle off the Office 365 administrative bot in the support pane and then type in the description of your issue and search for solutions. If you don't find a solution for your problem, create a new service request by phone or by email. You can view the status of your existing service request either by check View Service Request under the support blade, or if you already have a pane open, select the circular arrow icon in the Need Help tab to see the list of your new service requests. How do you monitor the Microsoft 365 service health? Microsoft constantly monitor the health of the services in Microsoft 365. This helps us ensure we are meeting the SLAs our promise to you. You can also monitor the health of your services in the Microsoft 365 admin portal. You can view whether a service is up or down, available, and the performance of the service as well. You can filter the list of subscriptions and services to view only what's most relevant to you. From the services with degraded performance to advisories to all services. Select any entry to give more details. You can see the following: a description of the problem, when the incident was first logged, last update to the incident, current status, user impact, etc. That concludes the lesson 2, which is support in Microsoft 365. So this is the final module review and the final Q&A. We are going to go through this Microsoft 365 fundamentals. So I'm wishing you good luck for your examination. All of these materials which I covered throughout the presentation is going to be available in my blog, which is www.aguidetocloud.com. You can go to that blog and get more lab materials and details about the presentation and how to pass this examination tips and tricks as well. So without wasting any more time, let's dive deep into the module review. In the last module, which was module 4, we talked about Microsoft 365 pricing and support. We understood the different plans available within Microsoft 365, which was enterprise plan, which includes E3 and E5. Then there was a business plan. There was an F1 plan. You can purchase Microsoft 365 for an academic use, which is an educational plan, etc. And in the second lesson, we talked about the support in Microsoft 365. We talked about different types of support you can get, how to raise a support issue within Microsoft, and how to check the service level health in Microsoft 365 services as well. So, which was quite informative. All right, so let's look into the first question. The first question is, which of the following Microsoft 365 subscription plan include Microsoft Azure Active Directory P2 or Plan 2 for advanced identity and access management? So we want to understand which plan include the P2. So you all know that P2 is either part of E5 subscription or P2 is the last option. So it is mostly available in the E5 plans. So the first option is business. So the business doesn't include all the advanced functionalities or advanced security features. E3, yes, it does, even though it does few features of security, but not all the advanced. Azure AD P2 is part of Microsoft 365 E5, or you can purchase as a standalone product as well. So the option is C and the answer is C as well. Let's look at the next question. You are the Microsoft 365 subscription administrator at your organization. As of 10 a.m. this morning, no one is able to connect their mailboxes to Microsoft Exchange Online service. What should you do to check the service status? We just discussed about that, or I even talked about that in the previous module. So there is something within Azure Office 365 which is called service health. So when you go into service health, you can actually monitor the status of all Microsoft services. So the answer is definitely A. Uh, let's read through other options as well. Visit the Microsoft 365 online forum. Maybe somebody will post there, but that's not an effective way and it will take more time. Visit the Microsoft Azure online forum. Again, Going to an online forum is not to check the service availability. It is to check the certain support tickets or to find out certain details about your technical difficulties. Or send an email to Microsoft support. Yes, you can do that, but you will take a lot of time to get a response. So the best and the right option is to go to your service held in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The next question is, your organization is looking for a Microsoft 365 offering that is built specifically for first line worker. Which plan should you choose? It's fairly easy, simple solution. I'm sure you know that answer. Education? No, because education plan is for academics and educational institutions. E3 is definitely not for first line workers because it is a bit more advanced and for mid medium organization and larger organization. C is include all the advanced security features and definitely targeted for larger organization. Microsoft F1, definitely yes. F1 or first line is a licensing program specifically catered for the first line workers. Is it Microsoft 365 Business? No, Microsoft 365 Business is catered for small and medium businesses which have a limitation of 300 user purchase. So you can only purchase Microsoft 365 Business if you have less than 300 users. So the right answer is option D, which is Microsoft 365 F1. All right, let's go to the next question. You want to review the status of your existing Office 365 service request. What's the best way to do that? So the keyword here is you want to review the status of your existing request. So what do? In the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, select View Request under the support blade. That is the right answer. So I don't even have to read the other options. So you go under Office 365 Admin Center and then you click on View Your Service Request under the support blade. So this is the right answer. Let's look at the other options as well. Search the Microsoft 365 support forum. Definitely not. You will not go and search for your ticket under Microsoft 365 support forums. That's absolutely ridiculous. Option C, only tier 1 cloud service provider have this information. You need to call them. No. So if you are under CSP, then definitely you need to go through CSP program, but this is not that option. Email Microsoft support. Yes, you can get some details about your ticket if you email them, but that's where not you go and check the status. You go under your Microsoft Admin Center and you click on View Service Request under the support blade. All right, let's look at the next question. Which of the following is an automated assistance bot designed to help you find answers to your Office 365 support question? So we are looking at a bot. We talked about it. Is it a fast track? No, fast track is a team which can get back to you for designing and implementation and migration of your Office 365. Is it a tech bot? Yeah, definitely it's a bot, but that's not the bot we are looking at. Is it a premier bot? I don't even know what that uh, bot does. Is it an Office 365 assistant? Yes, absolutely. So the bot is named as Office 365 Assistant, which is an automated assistant designed to help you find the Office 365 support questions. So the answer option is D. Question number 6. Which of the following is a channel where you can get direct access to Microsoft 365 planning materials and project managers? Right. This is what we eliminated just before. So Fast Track is a program where you can get direct access to Microsoft 365 planning materials and project manager. It's not where you can find in tech community. Definitely not premier support. It's not the support option. It's definitely not under any forum as well. So the right answer is Fast Track. Right. So we reached. So thank you so much for taking your time and initiative and bearing me and going through this entire course with me. Once again, Good luck and best wishes for the exam. For the materials, what we talked through the entire module, you can go and find in my blog, which is www.aguidetocloud.com. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, or if you wish, to keep up to date on the latest and the new content what I'm going to post. The next one, what I'm thinking is a new examination series for AZ-900, which is Azure Fundamentals Exam Series. So my name is Sushant. I'm signing off, and thank you so much for your participation. You guys take care. Bye.